Chapter 479 Heavenly Fire Annihilation. Wang Lan waved his hand, and a magic formation appeared in the sky. Instantly, countless flaming meteors shot out from the magic formation. The power of the Heavenly Fire Annihilation, which had reached the high platinum tier, was incomparable to the original one. The power of the meteors depended on two factors. One was the speed of the meteors, and the other was the density of the meteors. This time, Wang Lan's Heavenly Fire Annihilation was like a machine gun shooting out countless meteors. They no longer fell freely to the ground like before. Every meteor that landed on the ground caused at least 10 meters of land to collapse. Along with the powerful shock waves caused by the terrifying impact, Duan Qingfeng and the others saw a scene of doomsday, like a tumbling snowstorm. Everyone who saw this scene was stunned on the spot. Their eyes widened as they stared blankly at the surging ice and snow. Yellow Springs Domino. Wang Lan hurriedly threw a Yellow Springs domino at the ice cliff. Instantly, hundreds of Yellow Springs doors sealed the entrance of the ice cliff canyon, forming a wall. Boom! The Qingfeng wasteland reclaimers who were sealed inside the ice cliff could only hear a buzzing sound in their ears. The terrifying impact caused a loud explosion that temporarily deafened them. Lava gush on the ground. A huge magic formation with a diameter of nearly 1,000 meters was laid flat. Suddenly, lava gushed out from the magic formation like a fountain. The temperature of the lava reached over 3,000 degrees. Even a Star Ocean realm Takashi Hoshi wouldn't be able to last long in the lava. The two formations were like a millstone of heaven and earth, grinding the endless number of strange beasts into dust. In just a few minutes, thousands of exotic beasts were killed by this Takashi Hoshi composite technique. Among them, there were quite a number of Star Ocean realm exotic beasts. No matter how large the attack range of Wang Lan's heaven and earth millstone was and how powerful it was, countless exotic beasts were rushing out from the chaotic fog. There would always be a large portion of them that went around the heaven and earth millstone and continued to swarm towards the ice cliff. Heaven falls and earth rends. After fusing the earth and lightning attributes, Wang Lan obtained the explosive attribute. Then, he fused the earth attribute Takashi Hoshi skill and developed the super S-level Takashi Hoshi skill, Heaven Falls and Earth Rends. Within a certain range, every piece of land could be a landmine. Even the slightest touch would trigger the power of thunder inside. Almost instantly, a series of explosions rang out like a chain of firecrackers along the path of the exotic beast's advance. It was a little better for the superimposed exotic beasts, as they were only blasted to pieces. However, it was a death sentence for the fragile magic-type exotic beasts. Not only that, the explosion at the front also made the exotic beasts at the back not dare to charge forward. This caused the exotic beasts' footsteps to come to a halt. Swamp of the Underworld. Wang Lan took the opportunity to cast another S-rank Takashi Hoshi. The area where the largest beasts gathered suddenly turned into a swamp. The exotic beast immediately fell into the swamp and began to struggle. Sinew, icebound 1,000 miles. Jiang Sinew instantly flew above the swamp and cast Jiang Sinew's only S-rank Takashi Hoshi skill, Icebound 1,000 miles. In an instant, the entire swamp turned white. The struggling exotic beast stopped struggling in the ice. However, this wasn't the end. Jiang Sinew's ice wasn't firm. In just a few seconds, the exotic beast would break free from the ice and become lively again. Heaven and Earth Millstone. Wang Lan waved his hand. The heaven and earth millstone instantly moved to where the frozen swamp was. In an instant, countless soul orbs gushed out like an erupting volcano. The beautiful scene was like a brilliant firework. There were at least 20,000 exotic beasts sealed in ice. In less than 10 minutes, 20,000 exotic beasts were killed by the heaven and earth millstone. Even if the 5 emperors were here, they might not necessarily be able to achieve this kind of speed. Duan Qingfeng, who was standing on top of the gates of the underworld, suddenly staggered and almost fell off the gates of the underworld. The shock this scene gave him would probably be unforgettable for the rest of his life. Was this something a human could do? A peak galaxy grade had killed tens of thousands of exotic beasts in 10 minutes? Furthermore, with so many exotic beasts squeezed together, Duan Qingfeng didn't even need to think to know that there was no lack of galaxy grade or even star C grade beasts among them. Were the students of the 4 great academies really so freakish? The number of exotic beasts in the chaotic fog gradually decreased. Wanglan's formation also kept retreating under the onslaught of exotic beasts. As they fought and retreated, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu had already reached the entrance of the ice cliff. Even so, not a single exotic beast broke through their blockade and charged at the ice cliff's defensive line. This was truly a case of one man holding back 10,000 enemies. Chief Commander, something's not right. Guo Xiao had climbed up the gates of the underworld. Seeing the one-sided massacre in front of her, she didn't relax. Instead, she had a grave expression. I also feel that something's not right, Duan Qingfeng said, his eyes flashing with worry. Even if we launched a large-scale battle, isn't the reaction of the exotic beasts in the chaotic fog too intense? I originally thought that only the snow demon would be alarmed, but looking at the situation now, dozens or even hundreds of exotic beast tribes have been alarmed, right? That's right. I originally thought that there were only a few thousand exotic beasts. Who knew that there would be an army of 100,000? If it weren't for Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu, there wouldn't even be bones left of us. Chief Commander, why don't we send someone to report to headquarters? This is too abnormal. I'm afraid there's a huge change in the chaotic fog. The headquarters is now busy commanding the large-scale battle. How could they have the time to care about us? Even if they want to report, they have to wait until this battle is over. There aren't many exotic beasts left. Looks like our work here is done. The number of exotic beasts in the surroundings was decreasing. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu had already started to give up on large-scale Takashi Hoshi. In the sparse battlefield, killing the exotic beasts alone was the most efficient. Jiang Xinyu's snow god state was like a titan wreaking havoc on the battlefield. With a stomp of her foot, several exotic beasts were trampled into meat paste. With a punch, the earth trembled. Unlike Jiang Xinyu's rampage, Wang Lan's attacks were much more elegant. The water demon and the dance of the underworld butterfly were particularly suitable in this place. Previously, the heavenly fire and the earth lava had melted a large amount of ice and snow. At this moment, there was an endless ocean under their feet. Although the ocean was very shallow, it was enough for Wang Lan to appear and disappear unpredictably. The exotic beasts roared anxiously. They felt that the Grim Reaper was harvesting their lives, but they didn't know where the Grim Reaper was. They could only feel that their companions around them were rapidly decreasing. One by one, they were killed like extinguished stars. The Zanpakuto, with the bright yang sword art, was invincible. The water demon and the dance of the underworld butterfly appeared and disappeared unpredictably. In a second, Wang Lan could flash more than 20 times in an instant. This killing efficiency was actually not below the heaven and earth millstone. The exotic beasts all over the mountains fell down visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, a large area may be cleared. It's about to end. Inform everyone to prepare to clean up the battlefield. The moment Duan Qingfeng's voice landed, the chaotic fog in the distance suddenly made a buzzing sound, and the fog suddenly rolled violently. Suddenly, a ray of light rushed out of the fog, and the target was Jiang Xinyu in the snow god state. Wherever the ray of light went, countless fine diamonds appeared out of thin air in the surrounding space. The ray of light was so fast that it exceeded Jiang Xinyu's reaction time. The moment the warning sign rose in her heart, the ray of light had already hit in front of her. Not good. Jiang Xinyu's face suddenly turned pale. This ray of light had power beyond imagination. Although the ray of light looked very thin, Jiang Xinyu knew that as long as she was hit by this ray of light, she would die without a doubt. Wang Lan. At this moment, Jiang Xinyu only had time to think of Wang Lan's name in her heart. Suddenly, a ray of light lit up in front of her. Wang Lan, who was 100 meters away just now, suddenly appeared in front of her. Divine Shield. A huge divine shield was placed in front of Wang Lan's chest. The ray of light hit the divine shield the moment it appeared. Crack! With a crisp sound, the shield formed by the divine light was actually frozen in an instant. Even light could be frozen. Wang Lan's heart was instantly filled with shock. Boom! The divine shield exploded. At this critical moment, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu successfully dodged this fatal ray of light. Aurora! After landing, Wang Lan rolled continuously. After stabilizing himself, he looked at the tumbling, chaotic fog with a serious expression. This ray of light was an aurora, a freezing ray. Any ice-type Takashi Hoshi that could control an aurora would at least have the strength of a titled expert. And a mutated beast that could control an aurora would naturally have the strength of a titled expert. Xinyu, stand down, Wang Lan shouted in a low voice. Let's fight the enemy together. No, I have to protect you with you by my side. I can't fight with my full strength. Jiang Xinyu's expression darkened. She clenched her fists tightly. After 2 seconds, her hands relaxed. Okay, be careful. You still don't know my strength. Unless it's an expert on the level of the 5 emperors, no one can take my life. Jiang Xinyu looked deeply at Wang Lan and retreated to the gates of the underworld. However, she didn't jump into the ice cliff defense line. She wouldn't be affected by the battle in this corner. Thick smoke tumbled. A huge figure rushed out from the thick fog. Cerberus? Duan Qing Feng exclaimed. Commander, you know this mutated beast? When I went to the headquarters, I heard from the intelligence department that there are 7 horrifying mutated beasts in the Cloud Sea alternate space. Cerberus is one of them. The most terrifying thing about Cerberus isn't its size or the fact that it can combine 3 attributes. It's its immortal body. Even if it's cut in half, Cerberus can come back to life. A titled expert can kill it once, but not twice. 3 years ago, 3 titled experts worked together to kill Cerberus. They killed it 10 times, but it came back to life every time. This is an unkillable mutated beast. This, along with the appearance of the Cerberus, a white figure appeared beside it. From afar, the white figure looked like a person. Her snow-white hair danced in the wind. She was wearing a snow fur coat. She was tall and graceful. However, if one walked closer and saw her face clearly, they would find that it was a horrifying face. There was no nose, no mouth, and no eyebrows. There was only a hollow eye socket that contained a black aura of death. What is this? A human? I don't think so, Duan Qing Feng said with uncertainty. It was impossible for a human to walk together with a mutated beast. Besides, the astral power fluctuations coming from her didn't belong to a human. Wang Lan stared at the white figure with killing intent in his eyes. He had never seen a mutated beast in this form, but Wang Lan was certain that it was a mutated beast. Besides, the aurora that almost killed Jiang Xinyu was released by her. Chapter 480. Phoenix form, activate. With a swoosh, the flames around him sprang up. Amidst the flames, the shadow of a phoenix appeared above Wang Lan's head. Phoenix, Saint Robe. The gate to the Star Palace opened. A silver-white phoenix instantly flew out of the Star Palace, disintegrated in the air, and put on Wang Lan's body. Seeing Wang Lan activate the phoenix form and put on the phoenix Saint Robe, Jiang Xinyu's expression immediately turned serious. Wang Lan's strength had been elevated to the extreme. This meant that Wang Lan would have to use all his strength to deal with the 2 exotic beasts in front of him. There were still not many people in this world who understood Wang Lan's strength, but Jiang Xinyu was definitely one of them. Moreover, Jiang Xinyu also knew that even against ordinary titled experts, Wang Lan would not be able to elevate his strength to the extreme. At this moment, Duan Qing Feng and the others standing above the gate to the underworld were already dumbfounded. The astral power in the sky was surging, and Wang Lan's body was rippling with the pulse of astral power. Such a powerful force that could trigger such a phenomenon. If they hadn't seen with their own eyes that the person causing all this was Wang Lan, they would have thought that it was one of the 5 emperors who had come. After elevating his strength to the extreme, Wang Lan's combat strength instantly soared to the point where it surpassed that of a titled expert. The two exotic beasts in the distance also sensed the terrifying threat emanating from Wang Lan's body. Suddenly, they raised their heads to the sky and roared at the same time. The three heads of the Cerberus instantly lit up. At the same time, they opened their mouths, and three types of energy gathered in front of them. Almost instantly, a beam of light shot toward the sky where Wang Lan was. Boom! The beam of light swept past Wang Lan's body and hit the mountain behind him hard. There was no explosion, no deafening sound of impact. Everything happened so silently. The mountain that was hit by the beam of light disappeared into thin air. It was as silent as melting ice and snow, but it was countless times faster than melting ice and snow. This beam of white light was like the guiding light of another world. But just now, the white light had swept past Wang Lan's position. The hearts of Duan Qingfeng and the other two instantly rose to their throats. Looking at the empty sky, their eyes quickly searched. Wang Lan couldn't have been insta-killed, right? Shut your mouth. Perhaps the distance was too far, or perhaps the butterfly was too small. In any case, no one noticed the butterflies that Wang Lan had scattered at the critical moment. Not only Duan Qingfeng and the others, even the two exotic beasts didn't notice it. Another butterfly appeared beside the Cerberus. Suddenly, Wang Lan's figure appeared. The moment he appeared, the cleaving blade in his hand transformed into a 12-meter-long sword of light. Imbued with the bright yang sword art, the sword slashed down. Chi! Blood gushed out, and a huge dog head was chopped off. At this moment, the snow demon beside him instantly raised her hand, and an aurora broke through the void and shot towards Wang Lan. It was the moment Wang Lan slashed down. Wang Lan couldn't dodge or dodge. The timing and angle of this attack were perfect. Unless Wang Lan used teleportation, it was impossible for him to dodge this attack. Jiang Sinyu's heartstrings instantly tightened, and she couldn't help but take a step forward. Extreme heat ray, Wang Lan suddenly pushed out with his palm, and a beam of light clashed with the snow demon's rapid freeze ray. Wang Lan's extreme heat ray was only 80,000 degrees. Compared to the extreme freeze ray, which was close to absolute zero, its power was much weaker. However, the extreme heat ray also created an opportunity for Wang Lan to escape for a moment. As soon as they touched, Wang Lan's figure disappeared. The snow demon instantly retreated when Wang Lan disappeared. It could be seen that this snow demon was also intelligent. There weren't many exotic beasts with intelligence, but it didn't mean there weren't any. An intelligent exotic beast was definitely the first target to be eliminated, especially one like the snow demon. If he escaped this time, he could immediately lead an army to come back again. Wang Lan finally understood that so many exotic beasts attacked the city just now. It was very likely the snow demon's doing. Then all the more, I can't let you live. Wang Lan's figure instantly appeared and slashed at the snow demon's head. The snow demon's eyes flickered, and its figure retreated 100 meters away in a flash. Wang Lan suddenly disappeared again and turned into a useless hell butterfly. Seeing the hell butterfly flapping its wings like stars, the snow demon became anxious and let out squeaking sounds. The three-headed hellhound's head that was cut off had already grown back. After hearing the snow demon's call, it roared toward the sky and rushed over. Seeing this, Wang Lan's guess was confirmed. The three-headed hellhound didn't have intelligence. It only listened to the snow demon's orders. Since that was the case, then it must kill it. Wang Lan's eyes were filled with killing intent. He instantly appeared and slammed his palm on the ground. Yellow Springs Domino, dong dong dong. Countless Yellow Springs doors rose with a three-headed hellhound as the center. Furthermore, the Yellow Springs Domino was turned into a beehive maze by Wang Lan. Looking down at the huge beehive maze that rose in the distance, Duan Qingfeng was immediately confused. F***CK. You can play like this? Changing the terrain was a very common tactic. Any large pioneer army would have a Takashi Hoshi team that specialized in changing the terrain. However, no one had ever thought of changing the terrain into a maze to trap their opponents. Anyone who had played a maze before knew how complicated it was. In a maze, one's sense of direction would be confused by the environment, and they would completely lose their sense of direction. As for the beehive maze, it was the most terrifying and difficult to grasp direction among the many mazes. It could be said that there were less than 1,000 people in the world who could challenge the beehive maze. Using a beehive maze to trap an exotic beast? Duan Qingfeng really wanted to say, Wang Lan, you're overestimating the three-headed hellhound. The three-headed hellhound that was trapped in the beehive maze was indeed a little confused. Its three heads spewed out melting light at the same time, instantly shattering the 10 Yellow Springs doors. However, after the Yellow Springs doors were shattered, new Yellow Springs doors quickly grew out from the ground. Just as it crossed a threshold, it was blocked by a hexagonal beehive room. Wang Lan didn't plan on using the Yellow Springs doors to trap the three-headed hellhound for long. It would be fine as long as it was trapped before he killed the snow demon. In an instant, Wang Lan's figure flashed again, appearing beside the snow demon. The snow demon flashed again and let out an even more hurried cry. The three-headed hellhound that was trapped in the beehive maze became even more berserk. It spewed melting light everywhere, and in the blink of an eye, the Yellow Springs doors that were dozens of meters away were completely destroyed. Wang Lan's figure flashed once again to catch up. Snow Demon panicked and instantly spat out Aurora Light at Wang Lan. However, Wang Lan was already prepared. He raised the Holy Shield and slashed at the Snow Demon in an instant after blocking the Aurora. Chi! The Snow Demon's arm was cut off by Wang Lan's sword. The Snow Demon was so scared that its soul almost left its body. It flashed again and fled. Wang Lan rushed forward again. In the eyes of Duan Qingfeng and the rest of the audience, Wang Lan and the Snow Demon flashed quickly in the snow and chased after each other. The Snow Demon's aurora was indeed very terrifying. It flashed and disappeared mysteriously. If it encountered other Takashi Hoshi, the Snow Demon would definitely be a nightmare. However, it encountered Wang Lan, who could crush the Snow Demon in all aspects. In Wang Lan's opinion, the Snow Demon's strength was even inferior to the three-headed hellhound. The Snow Demon's real threat was its unfathomably high intelligence. The Snow Demon's flashing finally paused for a moment. However, this pause also determined its fate. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The Snow Demon's shrill cries formed a line. The three-headed hellhound behind it directly broke through the beehive maze and rushed out. However, at this moment, Wang Lan's sword of light had already slashed down, announcing the Snow Demon's death sentence. Chi! A head flew into the air. The Snow Demon's eyes were still filled with fear. The slash did not stop there. In an instant, Wang Lan's sword of light transformed into countless sword chi, forming a sword blade storm to kill the Snow Demon. Almost instantly, the Snow Demon was surrounded by the sword blade storm and turned into snowflakes. Leapfrog kill. Reward: 20,000 EXP, 3,000 skill points. The system notification rang in his mind. Wang Lan revealed a satisfied smile. Roar! With a violent roar, the three-headed hellhound rushed out of the beehive maze and saw the scene of Wang Lan killing the Snow Demon with a single slash. It was unknown if they had developed feelings for each other after being a couple for so long, or if the two beasts truly loved each other. The three-headed hellhound's 6 eyes instantly turned blood red. It charged at Wang Lan crazily. The three-headed hellhound's speed was as fast as lightning. The wind under its feet surged, and it crossed several hundred meters in a second, rushing in front of Wang Lan. The melting ray instantly pierced through the ground. Wang Lan's body turned into a dancing butterfly. When he reappeared, he was already above the three-headed hellhound's head. Extreme Heat Ray. The Extreme Heat Ray formed a lightning ray and slashed down. The laser ray that was dozens of meters long slashed down. The huge rocks in the distance were cut in half by this slash. The three-headed hellhound's body slowly split into 2 halves from middle. However, in the next moment, Wang Lan frowned. The three-headed hellhound that was cut in half suddenly melted. Then, the two lumps of liquid gathered again. In the blink of an eye, the three-headed hellhound that was unscathed appeared in front of Wang Lan. Immortal body, it really is immortal, Duan Qingfeng muttered with a face full of despair. The three-headed hellhound was a powerful existence that even three title battle pet warriors could not do anything to. No matter how strong Wang Lan was, when faced with an immortal monster, it would be difficult for him to defeat it. Before the reborn three-headed hellhound could regain consciousness, Wang Lan's sword of light that was more than a dozen meters long slashed down. In an instant, the three heads were cut off again. The heads that were cut off melted again. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the three-headed hellhound's toes. The wound on its neck was also wriggling quickly. The three heads were quickly forming again. Wang Lan frowned slightly. Instantly, he slapped the ground with his palm. Datura flower. Vines suddenly surged out and wrapped around the three-headed hellhound. At this moment, the three-headed hellhound was still in the process of being resurrected. Naturally, it could not resist at all. Wang Lan's Datura flower had captured many powerful exotic beasts. However, he had never captured a title battle pet warrior as easily as this one. The binding was completed almost the instant the three-headed hellhound was resurrected. In order to prevent the three-headed hellhound from using that terrifying melting ray, Wang Lan specially left the three heads of the three-headed hellhound outside, fixing them in the state of looking up at the starry sky. As Wang Lan had guessed, the three-headed hellhound spat out melting ray angrily. However, the melting ray could only be released toward the sky. Clusters of fireworks exploded in the sky. There was no such thing as immortality in the world. Wang Lan could be resurrected as well. Therefore, no one knew better than him. The so-called immortality could only be rebirth with the help of astral powers. The three-headed hellhound might be able to be reborn with a very small amount of astral powers. However, if the three-headed hellhound's astral powers were used up, it would die even if it did not. The vines around the three-headed hellhound quickly sucked its astral powers like water pumps. Soon, the three-headed hellhound's body shriveled up. Chapter 481. Quick, the ice cliff is in front. Quick, Regiment Commander, let's take a rest. Our brothers have just experienced a huge battle and have been rushing for such a long time. We can't take it anymore. Rest my ass. We've just fought a battle, and we're really tired. But the Qingfeng reclaimers have blocked the beast tide for 2 hours. 2 hours, Didn't you hear what the district headquarters said? There are no less than 100,000 beasts attacking the ice cliff in the fog of chaos. But until we finished the battle, the defense line at the ice cliff was not broken through. They fought with their lives for 2 hours in exchange for our victory. They are the real heroes of this battle. Now we are racing against time with the beasts. Every minute faster we can take more lives. Everyone, listen up. Full speed ahead. Even if the Qingfeng reclaimers are all dead, we have to take over their defense line and continue resisting the beast tide until the main forces arrive. Yes, a large reclaimers team of close to 1,000 people rushed forward along the route of the Qingfeng reclaimers. They were not a random reclaimer team like the Qingfeng reclaimers. They were under the command of the space reclaimers and had a formal organization. An order was a military order. A military order was to be completed at all costs. Even if all of them were to die, they had to complete the order. They rushed forward for 30 kilometers in less than half an hour. This was all thanks to the Qingfeng reclaimers taking care of all the beasts along the way. If they were in the same situation as the Qingfeng reclaimers, no matter how strong they were, they would need at least 2 hours. The distant cold ice cliff was tranquil. The expected surge of star force and the flames of war sealing the city did not occur. The reclaimers slowed down. The regiment commander took out his binoculars and looked at the ice cliff. The camp was not destroyed. There are no traces of battle. Could it be that the information was wrong? The beast tide did not happen? But this is an urgent report from the headquarters. How could it be wrong? The headquarters would not make such a huge mistake, right? When they received the report, the plan for the 100 Regiment battle had already started. In the Space Reclaimers, the communication method was very primitive. They could only rely on Takashi Hoshi to pass on the information. Even the headquarters only had one hummingbird that could communicate over a long distance. But the hummingbird's communication targets were the titled experts. Normal district headquarters did not have one. Furthermore, each division was separated from each other by a large distance, so a slight move in one part could affect the whole situation. This battle plan had been planned by the district headquarters for more than a month. Once the battle began, it could not be stopped. One could imagine how desperate the district command center was when they saw the report from headquarters. The various regiments were coordinating with one another to encircle and eliminate the exotic beasts in their territories. Suddenly, 100,000-strong wave of exotic beasts rushed over from afar. Under the onslaught, the 100 regiments were instantly thrown into disarray and scattered like sand. After that, under the encirclement of the exotic beasts, less than a tenth of them survived. Out of the 50,000 pioneers, would there still be 5,000 left? The consequences were too heavy, and no one could bear it. The district commander sat in the command center, waiting for the bad news to come. However, what he received was one report after another of success. The 100 Regiment battle continued in an orderly manner. If it were not for the beast tide, this battle would be the greatest achievement of Commander Lin Yao's military service. With this battle, it was not impossible for him to be promoted to lieutenant general. But it was all over. After Commander Lin waited anxiously for an hour, there was still no news of the beast tide. The 100 Regiment battle had reached the middle stage, and the target was forming a vertical and horizontal line. This was the most exciting part of Commander Lin's battle plan. When the 100 Wasteland Reclaimers arrived at the designated location and consolidated the defensive line, each regiment would be an exquisite chess piece that could affect the entire battle. Forming a vertical and horizontal line, attacking from the left and right, and outflanking from the front and back, the exotic beasts in the region would be ambushed from all sides. At the moment when they should be cheering, no one could cheer. It was not until half an hour later, when the situation in the southwest region was settled, that Commander Lin woke up with a start, as if his soul had returned to his body. The battle ended successfully without being affected by the beast tide. There was only one reason for this, and that was that Qing Feng's Wasteland Reclaimers had successfully defended the ice cliff. The exotic beasts that rushed out of the chaotic fog were all blocked. If it were anyone else, they would not accept this possibility. Was this possible? It was absolutely impossible. How could a mere 500 Wasteland Reclaimers block 100,000 exotic beasts? However, with Wang Lan and Qing Feng's Wasteland Reclaimers, it was possible. As a commander of one of the 5 regions in Yunhai Wasteland Reclaimers, Lin Yao knew of Wang Lan's existence. Nominally, he was just an intern god, but he was a top master in Jade State who was comparable to a title master. He was a man who was in the Galaxy State, but could become a god. With him around, the ice cliff might really be fine. This was because Lin Yao believed that even if all the green foam cliff reclaimers were killed, Wang Lan would definitely be able to escape. Therefore, after the battle ended, he immediately ordered his most elite Wasteland Reclaimers to rush to the ice cliff to support. Even if Qing Feng's Wasteland Reclaimers had successfully blocked 100,000 exotic beasts, it would be very difficult. Poison Stinger's Wasteland Reclaimers approached slowly, but there was no one in the entire campsite. If the campsite was not neat and tidy, they would have thought that Qing Feng's Wasteland Reclaimers were all killed. "Commander, look, it's the entrance of the ice cliff." The Poison Stinger's Wasteland Reclaimers immediately rushed to the entrance of the ice cliff. The gate of the underworld at the entrance had been removed, and they could see the scattered Takashi Hoshi outside the ice cliff. They seemed to be searching for something. Could it be that the intelligence was wrong? There was no beast tide? "Hey, you are Poison Stinger?" Duan Qingfeng noticed the Poison Stinger's Wasteland Reclaimers and hurried over. Commander of Qing Feng's Wasteland Reclaimers, Duan Qingfeng. Commander of Poison Stinger's Wasteland Reclaimers, Li. Commander Duan, We received intelligence from the headquarters that there was a beast tide attacking the ice cliff from the chaotic fog. Could it be that the intelligence was wrong? Commander Lee, what do you think of the terrain outside the ice cliff? Li Yi did not understand what Duan Qingfeng meant, but he still answered the question. The height difference is huge, and the terrain is uneven. The intelligence department said that outside the ice cliff are continuous snowy mountains and ice fields. It doesn't match the intelligence. When we rushed to the ice cliff, it was also continuous snowy mountains and ice fields. When Duan Qingfeng said this, his eyes were filled with fanaticism. If before this battle, Wang Lan was only a peerless genius in Duan Qingfeng's eyes, someone whose strength could not be judged by common sense, then now, Wang Lan was a god in Duan Qingfeng's heart. Forever a god. What? Li Yi looked at Duan Qingfeng in confusion. When he saw the mountain of soul orbs in Duan Qingfeng's wooden tube, the expression on his face was gradually replaced by horror. 100,000 beasts rushed out of the chaotic fog, and Wang Lan blocked them all alone. 100,000 beasts were defeated. One person slaughtered 100,000 beasts. Who in the world could do such a feat? After this battle, Wang Lan's name will be known throughout the world. 100,000 beasts? One person slaughtered them all? Li opened his mouth in confusion and was speechless for a long time. One person slaughtering 100,000 beasts was something any of the 5 thearchs could do. However, if it was Wang Lan, it was still a little exaggerated. There were a few important reasons why Wang Lan could slaughter 100,000 beasts. First, Wang Lan's S-grade Takashi Hoshi skills, especially the Heaven and Earth Millstone and Heaven Falls and Earth Rends, which had a large area of effect. Takashi Hoshi skills were specially made for the battlefield. Although the single target damage wasn't strong, it won in terms of quantity. Second, the ice cliff was at the back. One side of the ice cliff was open, but there was a hole at the entrance of the ice cliff. The terrain behind the ice cliff was Yaoyang Rock, which prevented the beasts from climbing over the ice cliff and entering from other places. When the beasts charged, they could only squeeze at the entrance of the ice cliff. Wang Lan could close his eyes and bombard them, ensuring that he wouldn't miss. In addition, this group of beasts was under the command of the Snow Demon. After receiving the command, they wouldn't instinctively avoid danger. Snow demons were intelligent, but they weren't very intelligent. This was equivalent to blocking 100,000 beasts at the mouth of Wang Lan's cannon and letting Wang Lan bombard them. As long as he had enough astral power, he could kill 200,000 beasts, let alone 100,000. Therefore, although the result of this battle was shocking, it was magnified. Even if it wasn't Wang Lan who came, but a titled battle pet warrior with a large area of effect Takashi Hoshi, they could still achieve the same result. But there were no ifs. All the luck would be overshadowed by this shocking result. You have completed the mission of defending the ice cliff. You have been rewarded with 200,000 experience points and 20,000 skill points. You have been tabulated. You have been rewarded with 5 million experience points and 200,000 skill points. Completing the mission only rewarded 200,000 experience points, but killing 5 million experience points. For the first time, Wang Lan's share of experience points had been overturned like this. However, after some calculations, it made sense. 100,000 beasts, on average, would only provide 50 experience points each. These were all Nebulous Star River beasts, and some were even Star Sea Realm beasts. This could already be considered a discount. Hearing the reward notification in his mind, Wang Lan licked his lips. Would there be another chance like this? How many more times? Wang Lan was already at Star River level 9. His experience bar was already half full. With 5 million experience points, his experience bar was instantly filled up. Boom! Suddenly, a wave of astral power rippled and rushed to the sky. Everyone was alarmed by this sound. They all looked up at the god of war at the top of the ice cliff. Astral power surged around Wang Lan. The astral power of heaven and earth surged toward Wang Lan. Wang Lan is... Duan Qingfeng asked hesitantly. Nebula Galaxy C. Is he about to break through to the Star Sea realm? Li Yi was a Star Sea Realm expert. He naturally understood the signs of a Star Sea Realm breakthrough. However, Li Yi glanced at the mountain of soul orbs. Although the shackles of the Star Palace would be loosened during the battle, you should at least absorb the soul orbs before breaking through. There are so many soul orbs, but you haven't touched them yet. You're about to break through. The fluctuations of star power spread out like a beating heart. Gradually, everyone realized what Wang Lan was trying to do. You just finished a great battle, and you want to break through in public? As expected of you, God of War. Boom! A cloud instantly gathered above Wang Lan's head. The Star Palace appeared above Wang Lan's head. The river formed by countless stars suddenly exploded. The stars tumbled and turned into waves that swept over everything. Gradually, the rolling sea of stars calmed down. Wang Lan slowly opened his eyes. Light shot out from his eyes and illuminated the sky. Character, Wang Lan. Level, Star Sea Realm, Level 1. Chapter 482. Bang good. In the Western District Command Center, Lin Yao slammed the table and shouted excitedly. Commander, what's going on? Is there something wrong with the information from the headquarters? The Chief of Staff asked curiously. The red, urgent information from the headquarters. When have you ever seen it wrong? Let me tell you, the information from the headquarters is very accurate. 10 minutes after our battle started, the beast tide from the chaotic fog arrived at the ice cliff. Oh, then how? The Chief of Staff looked at the sand table in disbelief. After entering the ice cliff, they went somewhere else. No, it's a flat land behind the ice cliff, and we were in the middle of a battle. With the habits of the strange beasts, it's impossible for them not to attack our battle position after entering the ice cliff. That's right. That's because the strange beasts couldn't break through the ice cliff at all. They were stopped outside the ice cliff by the Qing Phone reclaimers. How is that possible? The Chief of Staff suddenly exclaimed, They only have 500 people. 500 people stopped 100,000 strange beasts? No, it's not 500 people stopping 100,000 strange beasts. It's one person. When Lin Yao said this, his chest rose and fell slightly. This breath was like a stone pressing on his chest. One person? How is that possible? Wang Lan, a third-year intern sent by Cebu Gakuen from Shanghai. In these 3 months, he was the one who made the Qing Phone reclaimers famous. I've been thinking, how can a student be so capable? Later, I asked specifically and found out that Wang Lan is not only a student, he is also the son of Yin Emperor. The son of Yin Emperor? When did Yin Emperor get married? I don't know. He suddenly appeared 3 years ago, as if he jumped out of a stone. But even Di Lao said that he is the son of Yin Emperor, and Yin Emperor's family also admitted that he is the son of Yin Emperor. There should be no doubt about his identity. But even if he is the son of Yin Emperor, he is only a third-year student. The Chief of Staff felt that his worldview had collapsed. No matter how noble your identity is, you are still a human. Even if you're a little talented, there's no need to be this talented, right? Guarding the ice cliff alone, facing 100,000 mutated beasts alone. Although Wang Lan's strength seems to be at the galaxy grade, according to a friend of mine in the military, Wang Lan's strength has already reached the title grade. My friend is one of Yin Emperor's direct subordinates. Recently, Yin Emperor's subordinates have been promoting Wang Lan. That's why this information is known to the outside world. Titled Battle Pet Warriors? My God, this talent shouldn't be worse than Princess Yu, right? Last year, Princess Jade broke through to Star Sea, and there was a whole year of hype. Now, everyone knows that Princess Jade is the youngest Star Sea Realm cultivator, and will also be the youngest title powerhouse. Who would have thought that Wang Lan might be even more monstrous than Princess Yu? Stopping 100,000 beasts by himself. His name is going to shake the world. No, you're wrong, Lin Yao said calmly. I was wrong? What's wrong? He didn't stop 100,000 strange beasts by himself. Instead, he slaughtered 100,000 strange beasts by himself. Hiss! The Chief of Staff stared blankly at Lin Yao, as if he wanted to see if he was joking. But there wasn't. Lin Yao's expression was very serious. It's fake, right? Even if the 5 emperors came, they might not be able to do it. Do you think that the Qingfeng Wasteland Reclamation Group would dare to joke about the military report? Even if he dared, do you think that Li Yi would joke with him? Li Yi and Duan Qingfeng's military reports arrived at the same time. Although they came from two different people, the content was the same. There was no way they were wrong. The headquarters of the Cloud Sea Reclamation Space was located in the center of the military base of the 5 cities in the Cloud Sea Reclamation Space. Shun Xiaowu, Jade State's titled Green Tiger, was a peak star sea realm powerhouse. Almost all titled powerhouses were peak star sea realm powerhouses, but not all peak star sea realm powerhouses could become titled powerhouses. Titled battle pet warriors were not only bestowed with strength, but also with fame and achievements. Shun Xiaowu stood quietly by the window and looked into the distance. Although he was listening to the reports of his subordinates, his mind had already drifted to the southwest region. When Shun Xiaowu learned of the beast tide's attack, he immediately made arrangements to deal with it. Southwest, south, west, northwest, and north. The wasteland reclaimers in the 5 regions were all on high alert, ready to attack at any time. It was too abnormal, too abnormal. In the past, even if a beast tide broke out, there would be a long warning period. The formation of a beast tide could be foreseen. Shun Xiaowu had been reclaiming space in the Cloud Sea Reclamation Space for 7 or 8 years and had experienced 4 beast tides. But every time, they had been alerted in advance and responded accordingly. Although the beast tides still caused casualties, the losses were manageable. But this time, the beast tide came so suddenly, without any warning before it broke out. Not only did the beast tide break out suddenly, it broke out in all directions at the same time. What was wrong with the beasts in the chaotic fog? Were they crazy? The other regions were fine. When Shun Xiaowu learned of the beast tide's arrival, he immediately issued a warning. However, when he sent the warning to the southwest region, the response from the southwest region made Shun Xiaowu feel as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. The southwest region was actually carrying out a large-scale battle at this time. If there was no beast tide, this battle would be a beautiful and classic battle in Shun Xiaowu's eyes. But why was there a beast tide at this time? When the information was received, it was still too late. The battle had already been going on for half an hour. Half an hour. If it was a regular army, half an hour might just be the beginning. But for Takashi Hoshi, half an hour might be the end of a battle. The 100 Reclamation Corps in the southwest region were all involved in the battle. A slight move in one part would affect the whole situation. At this time, even if one of the Reclamation Corps withdrew, the situation would collapse completely like a domino. Therefore, when he heard the reply, Shun Xiaowu and Lin Yao felt the same way. The southwest region was done for. The 50,000 reclaimers in the southwest region were done for. 100,000 beasts rushed into the southwest region, and each of the Reclamation Corps was scattered in their respective battlefields. They could not support each other or coordinate with each other. How many people would survive in the end? However, under the current circumstances, Shun Xiaowu could not send out reinforcements. That was because the beast tides in the other 4 regions had also started. The reclaimers in the 4 regions could only reduce their forces. They gave up on the fortifications at the front line and concentrated on the large defensive line at the rear to resist the beast tide. Under such circumstances, Shun Xiaowu had to make a prompt decision. He drew out reinforcements from the 4 regions to set up a defensive line outside the southwest region. These reinforcements could not go to the Southwest Command Center. They could only wait for the exotic beast to break through the defensive line and not continue to attack the rear. By the time the exotic beasts in the Southwest region reached the rear defensive line, the other regions should have resisted the beast tide, right? This way, he could draw out reinforcements to fight back the exotic beasts in the Southwest region. This was a battle of timing, and the price they had to pay was to watch the Southwest region fall into enemy hands. This decision was very painful. Therefore, Shun Xiaowu was absent-minded for 2 whole hours. White Dragon, where's Black Fox? Shun Xiaowu suddenly asked. The beast tide in the northwest region is the most dangerous. Master White Dragon is fighting the beast tide in the northwest region. Master Black Fox is in the west. 3 powerful exotic beasts have appeared in the west. Our brothers there can't hold on any longer. Inform Xiao Qian to contact White Dragon. End the battle as soon as possible and rush to the southwest region. Save as many as you can. Yes. With a loud bang, the door of the command center seemed to have been knocked open. Commander-in-Chief, the latest battle report from the Southwest Command Center. Hearing this, there was no joy on Shen Xiao's face. Instead, his face was full of pain. This was because he knew that the battle report sent at this time would not be good news that they were fine and that the headquarters did not need to worry about them. It should be a final battle report sent by the Southwest Command Center. Shen Xiao knew Lin Yao well. This proud man would not leave his soldiers behind and retreat alone. Even if Lin Yao had the ability to retreat safely, he would not be able to do so. When sending the report, Shen Xiao had already made it clear that Lin Yao's command center was allowed to retreat immediately to keep their designation. However, Lin Yao refused. If he wanted to retreat, he would have done so long ago. Shen Xiao took a deep breath. He did not turn around and continued to look out the window. Read it. Yes. Honorable Commander-in-Chief, when the Southwest region launched the cleanup campaign, a beast tide appeared in the chaotic fog at the ice cliff in the southwest corner. Hundreds of thousands of exotic beasts swarmed out and attacked the ice cliff. At this moment, our battle has already begun. All the wasteland reclaimers are in position. There is no time to retreat. In this time of crisis, Lin Yao has made up his mind to live and die with the Southwest Wasteland Reclaimers. After 2 hours of battle, the cleanup campaign was successfully carried out. All the Wasteland Reclaimers have successfully formed an alliance. Hearing this, Shen Xiao's expression finally changed. He slowly turned around and looked at the young man reading the battle report. The content of this battle report was different from what he had guessed. The cleanup campaign was completed? 2 hours? How is this possible? The battle ended smoothly. I was concerned about the situation at the ice cliff and urgently ordered the poison stinger wasteland reclaimers to rush to the ice cliff. It was confirmed at the ice cliff that there were indeed hundreds of thousands of exotic beasts rushing to the ice cliff defense line. The ice cliff defense line only had 500 soldiers of the Qingfeng wasteland reclaimers. F*CK. F*CK? Everyone in the command center stared at the messenger who was reading the battle report in shock. You were reading it well, and you actually said F*CK? Would such a word be written in the battle report? No, I'm sorry. I forgot myself. But the content is too exaggerated. Hurry up and read it. Shen Xiao stared at the young man with a murderous look. In the Qingfeng wasteland reclaimers, there was an intern from Cebu Gakuen, Wang Lan. Wang Lan went out of the ice cliff alone and held back 10,000 enemies. Outside the ice cliff, the ice and snow melted and the ground collapsed. The corpses of the exotic beasts covered the ground, and the soul orbs piled up like a mountain. The 100,000 exotic beasts were all killed outside the ice cliff. The Qingfeng wasteland reclaimers did not lose a single person, and none of the exotic beasts rushed into the ice cliff. The southwest region was preserved, and the cleanup campaign was completed perfectly. The 50,000 southwest reclaimers survived because of Wang Lan's contribution. With the power of one strike, he reversed the situation and turned the tide. When the battle report ended, the entire command center was dead silent. Everyone stared at the messenger dumbfoundedly. Their minds were in complete turmoil, and they had lost their ability to think. Chapter 483. When they came back to their senses, their first reaction was, Lin Yao, you really dare to write this? You actually dared to say that one person blocked the beast tide? However, after thinking about it, they felt that something was wrong. If the military report wasn't true, then shouldn't Lin Yao have died together with the Southwest Military Region? Being able to send this report meant that Lin Yao was still alive, but he might have already gone crazy. If the 3 titled battle pet warriors of the Cloud Sea exploration space did this, although it was hard to believe, it was still believable. An intern of the Star Martial Arts Academy, a youth who was only 20 years old, a peak Galaxy Realm star martial artist, had single-handedly blocked 100,000 mutant beasts and even killed them all? Keep bragging, keep bragging. Commander-in-Chief, Lin Yao has gone crazy. The Chief of Staff sighed after a long time. No, Shun Xiaowu said with a serious expression. Lin Yao's report might be true. What? How is that possible? You might not know, but I do know a little. Although I haven't had much contact with Wang Lan, 3 months ago, Wang Lan fought side by side with Emperor Qing. Together with Emperor Qing, they killed Heaven's Bird's #1 expert, Sony. Although I don't know the details of this battle, I think that to be able to fight side by side with Emperor Qing, his strength must have reached a certain level. At the very least, I don't think I'm qualified to fight side by side with Emperor Qing. Shun Xiaowu was a titled battle pet warrior with the title Green Tiger. If even Shun Xiaowu wasn't qualified, how could Wang Lan be qualified? Could it be that Wang Lan's strength was above the Commander-in-Chief's? How is that possible? Wang Lan, he's only at the Galaxy grade. Takashi Hoshi's level isn't the only factor that affects one's strength. Rumor has it that when Princess Yu was at the peak of the Galaxy grade, her strength was no less than that of a peak Galaxy grade. It's not hard to accept that Wang Lan has the strength of a titled battle pet warrior at the peak of the Galaxy grade. Lin Yao and Wang Lan are unrelated, and he's not part of the Yin Emperor's faction. Lin Yao doesn't need to take credit for Wang Lan. Since he said so, it must be true. Pass down my order. Spread this battle report. I want all the Takashi Hoshi in the Cloud Sea to know about it. Shun Xiaowu ordered in a low voice. This was the usual practice of opening up a space. Whenever someone made an astonishing move or made a remarkable achievement, the entire space would announce the commendation. It was not only to increase the enthusiasm of Takashi Hoshi, but also to make Takashi Hoshi famous. In the Wasteland exploration space, the survival structure was a bit like the Jianghu in wuxia novels. One by one, the Wasteland reclamation teams formed their own organizations. The Wasteland Reclamation Team under the General Headquarters was a formal department of the government. In the Wasteland exploration space, strength was the foundation of everything, but reputation was the foundation of benefits. Only when you have a reputation can your reputation deter those who harbor evil intentions and may want to kill you and rob you. When you have fame, you can gain the trust of more people. You can also recruit more subordinates. When you have fame, you can get more resources. However, although fame was a good thing, it also required a corresponding amount of strength to carry it. If one's fame did not match their position, they would be implicated. As for Wang Lan, he had strength and achievements. The only thing he lacked was fame. With such a heaven-sent opportunity, of course, he would borrow the strength of the wind and soar into the sky. The news of Wang Lan suppressing a beast tied by himself was like a nuclear bomb that suddenly exploded, shocking the entire Cloud Sea exploration space. What kind of world-shaking feat was that? A single person suppressing a beast tide? Since ancient times, not many people have been able to accomplish such a feat. There were a total of 5 areas in the Cloud Sea exploration space, and the southwest area was able to survive because of one person's contribution. One man holding the pass, 100,000 beasts were defeated. Not only did he hold the beast tide, but he also King killed all of them. The soul orbs piled up like a mountain. There was no lack of mid-grade soul orbs, high-grade soul orbs, and even there were 2 high-grade soul orbs. Monster. Definitely a monster. If he doesn't get a title, the heavens will not tolerate it. Wang Lan? I know him. He's in the same batch as me. What is outstanding? No, he's not outstanding, he's outstanding. From a year Wang Lan entered the school from the 1st year to the 4th year? No, in the entire 4 great Cebu Gakuen, there were only 2 names in the top tier. Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun. Yu Ruoyun's ranking was even lower than Wang Lan's. This was personally admitted by Yu Ruoyun. I think everyone has heard of Princess Yu's strength. Her title will be announced soon. Leader, what's wrong with you guys? There have been several groups of people asking me about Wang Lan. I'm not very familiar with Wang Lan. I've only seen him a few times in school. But occasionally, I've heard the seniors in the 4th year talk about Wang Lan. If we're talking about something that left a deep impression, it's still shooting the eagle with a bow. Cough, 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 I'm used to driving. Other people shoot the eagle with a bow, but Wang Lan is different. He shoots the asteroid with a bow. Do you still remember the asteroid from a year and a half ago? It's the one that fell into the Arctic Ocean. Although the officials said it was quite scary, it was just like that in the end. We studied as usual and sang as usual. But let me tell you, that small planet almost caused a disaster back then. The asteroid's speed reached Mach 20 and above. Missiles couldn't hit it. Do you know how it turned danger into safety? It was shot down by Wang Lan and Princess Yu together. Damn, what's with your expressions? Do you think I'm bragging? Back then, the fourth-year students all know. Although they've all graduated, you can ask the last batch of Cebu Gakuen graduates. They all saw it with their own eyes. There's even a video on the school's website. It's just that it's a bit blurry. Wang Lan was completely famous. There is no one who didn't know about him opening up a space in Yanhai. And at this moment, Wang Lan was in seclusion in the camp. He didn't see anyone. Others thought that Wang Lan had just broken through and needed to consolidate his cultivation, but Wang Lan was worried about how to add points. Now, there were still 500,000 skill points in the system. 500,000 skill points was quite a terrifying number. But that was in the past, not now. All the skills that could be upgraded to Diamond had all reached Platinum level 9. But from Platinum level to Diamond level, the starting point was 100,000 skill points. Those normal skills that were fixed at 100,000 skill points were still okay, but those progressive skills were swallowing points. 500,000 skill points was simply not enough to cover the cost. Now, Wang Lan finally understood that this system could only help him grow to Star Sea Realm. Beyond Star Sea Realm was a series before he was born. Think about it. A diamond-level Takashi Hoshi skill required 100,000 skill points for a normal upgrade. Upgrading it to Diamond level 9 required at least 1 million skill points. As for those progressive skills, they required 5 million skill points. This was just a Takashi Hoshi skill, but Wang Lan could upgrade at least 5 Takashi Hoshi skills. Rounding them up, it was at least 30 million skill points. 30 million, Wang Lan was about to break down. Then, looking at the experience points, Wang Lan wanted to cry on the spot. The celestial cloud Xianxing record had reached its limit. Wang Lan couldn't upgrade it to Diamond level. But the experience points needed to upgrade it to Star Soul Realm was a terrifying 500 million. Damn, 500 million. According to the speed of the celestial cloud Xianxing record, it would take at least 20 to 30 years. After 20 to 30 years, Wang Lan would be in his 40s or 50s. How could he upgrade it? If that's really the case, Wang Lan, you've been improving so quickly. Anyone can tell that you'll definitely become one of the 5 emperors within 10 years. But if you dawdled for 20 to 30 years, by then, the outside world's evaluation would be one-sided. Jiang Liang's talent would be exhausted and he would collapse. What should he do? Wang Lan could understand why the celestial cloud Xianxing record couldn't be upgraded. Even if this was a secret technique of the ancient cultivation civilization, it was still a Qi cultivation chapter. What was a Qi cultivation chapter? It was meant to build a foundation for disciples. Without a more advanced technique, it was already very impressive to cultivate to the Star Sea realm by relying on the Qi cultivation chapter. Others could prove their Tao through battle and break through the shackles with soul orbs. But Wang Lan couldn't. No matter how many soul orbs he absorbed, they could only provide skill points and replenish the lost astral power. No matter how many he absorbed, it would be a waste. Therefore, Wang Lan only had 2 ways to upgrade as soon as possible. He could either save the Milky Way or find a more advanced technique. At the very least, he had to get a foundation-level chapter. As for skill points, Wang Lan finally understood. Just relying on missions or killing mutated beasts wasn't enough. Sooner or later, his harvest wouldn't be able to keep up with the gold-swallowing beast needs. Since experience points could be obtained through techniques, it was reasonable to say that skill points could also be obtained through cultivating certain techniques. Techniques weren't a problem, but the problem was that there were no techniques. This was the main reason why Wang Lan was depressed. Although he was depressed that he had reached the end of the road ahead, He felt much better when he looked back at the benefits of this upgrade. After breaking through to the Starseed realm, the quantity and quality of his astral power had been improved qualitatively. Although the improvement in Wanglan's combat strength wasn't as obvious as before. After all, Wanglan's combat strength had reached the level of a tidal powerhouse. The only thing he could do was maintain this strength for a longer time. There were two other benefits that made Wanglan ecstatic. The Phoenix form was finally unsealed. It no longer required skill points to activate. Instead, it became a Takashi Hoshi technique that could be used normally. Moreover, this Takashi Hoshi technique was of the diamond level. No wonder Wanglan's strength soared to the level of a tidal powerhouse after activating the Phoenix form. The Phoenix form was a diamond-level technique to begin with. It was equivalent to using up skill points to activate the combat strength of a tidal powerhouse in advance. Now that the Phoenix form had become a regular technique, Wanglan's regular form would have the combat strength of a tidal powerhouse. Of course, in the future, there wouldn't be a difference between the sublimated form and the regular form. Another benefit of activating the Phoenix form was that the mimicry of the second form of the Phoenix had been unlocked. Wanglan had two mimicry forms before, the Dragon Emperor form and the Space Phoenix form. But Wanglan didn't cultivate those two forms on his own. He accepted them passively. In the past, Wanglan hadn't grasped the second form of the Phoenix form at all. But at the moment, Wanglan had completely grasped the second form and understood what the so-called mimicry was. If Wanglan wanted to learn more forms of mimicry in the future, he could cultivate them himself. Apart from unlocking the Phoenix form, there was another benefit. He could finally cultivate the 5 fire skills that he couldn't learn before. It would cost him 500,000 skill points. Damn it! Seeing the requirement, Wanglan wanted to flip the table. If I learn the 5 fire skills, I won't need to upgrade any other skills, right? This daddy's light of life, this daddy's Dachira flower, this daddy's bright young sword arts, this daddy's... Damn it! Chapter 484. If it were any other Takashi Hoshi technique, Wanglan would have put it aside without a second thought. He would wait until he had pushed the other Takashi Hoshi techniques to the diamond level before thinking about it. However, this Takashi Hoshi technique was so special. It was a top-notch technique from the ancient cultivation sect, the Immortal Cloud sect. Even when the entire Immortal Cloud sect was destroyed, they did not forget to leave behind this technique for future generations. This technique was too tempting for Wanglan, especially when he found out that Yuriyun was already practicing virtuous like water and had made initial progress. Wanglan was even more tempted. Forget it. I'll just go earn more if I don't have it. Wanglan let out a long sigh. He gritted his teeth and stomped his feet. He focused his mental power on the Limitless Fire Art skill book and chose to learn it. Boom! There was a sudden explosion in his mind. The flow of information turned into a torrential river and surged in Wanglan's mind. At the beginning of chaos, the beginning of heaven and earth. Earth, water, fire, and wind rippled. It was the initial energy of heaven and earth. Fire was one of the initial energies and one of the 5 elements. The pinnacle of fire was divided into 5 extremes. The true samadhi fire burned everything. Produced from the liver, for the anger in the chest, as the technique's chant flowed through his mind, the star power in his body suddenly flowed uncontrollably along the path of the chant. At this moment, Wanglan finally understood the difference between the Limitless Fire Art and the other Takashi Hoshi techniques. As for the other Takashi Hoshi techniques, he could only learn them. He did not know the principles behind their creation, nor did he know why they were created. Moreover, the other Takashi Hoshi techniques were ultimately just the control and application of star power. However, the Limitless Fire Art was beyond the application of star power. Instead, it transformed the attribute of star power and added the power of law. Thus, the Takashi Hoshi techniques that were cultivated had the power of law. For example, the true samadhi fire was just an ordinary flame. Its temperature was not high, not even as high as the blue flame that Wanglan cultivated. However, because of the law, The true samadhi fire had the characteristic of not extinguishing until it burned the target to ashes. Moreover, the true samadhi fire could burn anything, be it metal or stone, everything would be ignited. Even the purple flames couldn't compare to such a flame. The 5 extreme fire arts not only contain the true samadhi fire, but also the true sun fire, netherworld ghost fire, red lotus fire, and holy light sacred fire. Fire not only brought destruction, it also brought life, light, and civilization. The grand sun primordial flame could illuminate the world. If the samadhi primordial flame was destruction, then the grand sun primordial flame was light. The netherworld ghost flame could burn the soul. After being hit by the netherworld ghost flame, the body would not be affected, but the soul would be burned. When the netherworld ghost flame was extinguished, the soul would be annihilated. If the netherworld ghost flame was strange, then the karmic fire of the red lotus was truly unsolvable. The red lotus karmic fire only burned sins. As long as the target had karma, the red lotus karmic fire could attack the karma itself. Merit and karma were already considered weapons of the law of karma. In the Immortal Cloud sect, there was an annual examination where one had to go through water and tread on fire, go to the purity pond, and endure the burning of the red lotus karmic fire. If one could safely walk through the purity pond and step over the red lotus karmic fire, it meant that there were no sins on one's body. It was because of these examinations that eliminated corruption that the Immortal Cloud sect was able to become the #1 righteous sect in the past. Whether it was strength or character, they were #1. The red lotus karmic fire only killed sins, while the holy flame purified all negative effects. The holy flame did not have the effect of killing enemies, nor could it be used as an attack. If one was invaded by curses, demonic chi, variant star power, or even Takashi Hoshi's poison, the holy flame could expel it. After igniting the holy flame to remove negative effects, when the holy flame was extinguished, one would be pure and innocent again. It was no wonder that the Immortal Cloud sect was able to stand tall for thousands of years, just based on the 5 extreme fire arts. Which one of them wasn't a divine art? However, although the 5 extreme fire arts was powerful, it was also extremely difficult to cultivate. Now that Wang Lan had learned it, he only realized that the difficulty of cultivating the 5 extreme fire arts was beyond his imagination. Wang Lan thought that the phoenix form was already difficult enough, but the limitless fire arts was more than 10 times more difficult than the phoenix form. Limitless fire arts, diamond level 1, 010000000. Looking at the 1 million skill points required for every level up, Wang Lan's mouth could not help but twitch. Was this forcing him to his death? 1 million skill points, and it felt like it would take him half a year to level up? It would take him 10 to 20 years to upgrade the 5 extreme fire arts to blue diamond? And this was the premise of only focusing on upgrading this skill? Wang Lan opened his eyes and stared at the sky. Limitless fire arts was good, really good. To be honest, with the limitless fire, other Takashi Hoshi skills were useless. If he wanted to attack, he could attack, and he could even use the mysterious system to attack. But when he thought of the upgrade requirements, Wang Lan only had one sentence in his heart. He fell in love with a wild horse, but there was no grassland at home. He could not afford to raise it. Suddenly, Wang Lan had an idea and sat down cross-legged again. The 5 extreme fire arts had a cultivation method, and according to the cultivation method, Wang Lan's face gradually revealed a smile. I guessed right. The 5 extreme fire arts is an ancient cultivation method, and the cultivation method can generate experience points, so how could it not generate skill points? Every second of the 5 extreme fire arts, 1 skill point would jump to the skill point. But this skill point was an exclusive skill. Sure enough, after this minute, the skill point requirement of the 5 extreme fire arts changed. 5 extreme fire arts, diamond level 1, 601000000. 1 skill point per minute was indeed a little less, but he could still get 600 skill points in an hour. If he was a little more diligent, it would not be difficult to get 7,000 to 8,000 skill points in a day. This way, he could get 210,000 in a month, and he could meet the upgrade requirements in 2 to 3 months. If he had something to do during this period of time, such as completing a few missions and killing more mutated beasts, the time could be shortened by half. In this way, it was not unacceptable. Unfortunately, the skill points that could be generated were only exclusive skills. If only there was a cultivation method that could generate skill points for general use, Wang Lan thought greedily. When he walked out of the room, it was already 2 days later. Wang Lan was still at the Ice Cliff defense line. The Poison Thorn Reclaimer army did not return, but stayed with the Qing Feng Reclaimer army to guard the Ice Cliff. 2 Reclaimer army, one was a legitimate army, and the other was a wild chicken Reclaimer army. In terms of strength, the difference between the two was like heaven and earth. If it was in the past, it would be a miracle if the 2 Reclaimer army did not quarrel when placed together. But who would have thought that the 2 Reclaimer army would get along so well? The Poison Thorn Reclaimer army did not have the slightest arrogance of a legitimate army, and they were very close to the Qing Feng Reclaimer army. They gave each other respect, and naturally, they were like brothers. Actually, Li knew the inside story. The Qing Feng Reclaimer army was now a wild chicken Reclaimer army, but it would not be very soon. After making such a great contribution, it would not be long before they would be officially incorporated into the army. After being incorporated, their strength might not be as high as the Poison Thorn Reclaimer army, but their level would be the same. In addition, the headquarters would allocate some resources and absorb some talents who graduated from Cebu Gakuen. Their strength would rise very quickly. In these 2 days, Duan Qingfeng had almost done all the pretentious acts he could do in his life. He walked with the wind, and everyone he met was pleased with his success. The door that had been closed for 2 days slowly opened at this moment. Outside the door, Black Panther and another reclaimer, Do, were guarding Wang Lan's door. When they saw Wang Lan come out, they quickly went up to him. Lord Wolf, have you consolidated your state? Lord Wolf? Wang Lan was speechless. What kind of title is this? You are now Lord. Not only our Qing Feng Reclaimer army, but all the brothers in the southwest region. If it weren't for you, we would all be finished. That's why everyone calls you Lord. Lord Wolf wants to be conferred a title? Don't worry, I think your title will be announced soon. Title? Dream on? I just broke through to the Star Sea realm. But you suppressed a beast tide by yourself. Can other peak Star Sea realm cultivators do it? If you don't become a title, who is qualified? Today, there will be 3 titles. You must be one. Otherwise, the entire Cloud Sea Reclaimer army will not agree. All right, stop praising me. All right, where is Jiang Xinyu? She is at Binhu. She has been cultivating desperately for the past 2 days. Sigh, people with good talent are not scary. What is scary is people with good talent working harder than us. We deserve to be stopped at Nebula. I think you are still young. If you work hard, you might be able to break through to the Star Sea realm. Wang Lan patted their shoulders and walked out of the room. Then, he left the base and walked toward Binhu. In Binhu, Jiang Xinyu stood facing the lake. She opened her palm, and a strange mist appeared in her palm. The mist was as bright as blood and emitted a terrifying heat. Ah! Suddenly, Jiang Xinyu let out a scream. The mist in her palm suddenly exploded. Wang Lan quickly flashed to Jiang Xinyu's side and grabbed Jiang Xinyu's palm. Seeing that her palm was scalded and covered in bloody blisters, he frowned. How could you be so careless? As he spoke, the wounds on Jiang Xinyu's palm healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. A few seconds later, a layer of dead skin peeled off and returned to her delicate, jade-like hand. You're out of seclusion? Jiang Xinyu said happily. I wanted to fuse the fire element as soon as possible. After all, the shackles of my star palace were loosened during the previous battle. After the fusion, I'll be able to stabilize my attributes when I break through to the Star Sea realm. You've already fused the fire element. Isn't that enough? You still want to fuse the wind element and the fire element? Not just the fire element. I also plan to fuse the wind element, water element, and fire element to form the water realm strip. Jiang Xinyu slowly pulled her hand out of Wang Lan's hand, a stubborn look on her face. Wang Lan, you're too outstanding. Not only do you have all the attributes, but you've also fused almost all of them. You're so outstanding that you're giving me too much pressure. I don't want to be left too far behind. I'm afraid that I'll lose the qualifications to be your girlfriend. What qualifications do you need to be my girlfriend? I just need to like you. Aren't you thinking too much? A swan won't team up with a sparrow. A phoenix will only accompany a phoenix. You're thinking this because you haven't flown too high yet. But I believe that even now, you're only at the starting point. If in the future, you're at the top of the 9 heavens, will you still be able to see me? Even if you want to, I'm too small. I'll probably only be in the corner of your vision. I have a reason to become strong. This reason is that I want to accompany you to even greater heights. I believe that you won't abandon me, but at the very least, I'll have to reach the point where you can carry me, right? I don't have Royun's talent, but my determination isn't inferior to hers. Moreover, I have you. I don't believe that with your help, I won't be able to catch up to you. Chapter 485. Actually, what I meant was, you don't have to work too hard. My heart will ache if you do. Wang Lan, although I admit that you've won, please don't insult me. You'll feel heartache if I work too hard? So many of my peers are working hard. Why shouldn't I work hard too? Jiang Xinyu patted Wang Lan's shoulder domineeringly, like a proud peacock. I'm working hard because I'm not willing to admit defeat. Who knows, I might have a chance to press you down in the future. This you didn't do at that time? Do you still need to work hard? Jiang Xinyu's face immediately turned red when she heard this. Why didn't I know you were so shameless? You've seen it. Go away. Don't disturb my cultivation. Do you think you're the only one who wants to cultivate? I want to cultivate too. What a miracle. Jiang Xinyu looked at Wang Lan in disbelief. I've known you for so long. Other than the time when you first awakened your Takashi Hoshi talent, and before that, I've never seen you cultivate. Wang Lan's face turned slightly red when he heard Jiang Xinyu's words. After the system was activated, Wang Lan realized that the system's speed of improvement was far faster than his cultivation speed. In addition, his strength grew like a rocket during that period of time, so he didn't cultivate much. Instead of cultivating, he'd rather catch a few demon spies and slaughter a bunch of exotic beasts. However, he couldn't do that now. No matter how many demon spies he caught or how many exotic beasts he killed, the skill points he gained were just a drop in the bucket. Furthermore, the phoenix mimicry form needed to be developed by himself. It couldn't be obtained just by adding skill points. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean I haven't. Think about it. Who grows without hard work? Perhaps when you're not looking, my hard work in private isn't inferior to yours, Wang Lan said without blushing or panting, showing his foundation. Wang Lan already had an idea of the third type of phoenix mimicry. After fully activating the phoenix form, Wang Lan already knew the mimicry of the phoenix form like the back of his hand. And this mimicry was simply, Wang Lan didn't know how to describe it. Just like a loaded simulator, it was an independent system within a system. The phoenix form could emulate Wang Lan's attributes and even Takashi Hoshi's skills under the phoenix form. For example, he learned from Di Lao that his mother, Wang Ling, had transformed into a fire phoenix, an ice phoenix, a battle phoenix, and a flash phoenix. These phoenix forms could switch between different enemies. Wang Lan's starting point was much better than Wang Ling's. Wang Lan's first form was the Dragon Emperor form, which was much stronger than Wang Ling's Battle Phoenix form. As for the second form, the Spatial Phoenix form, it possessed the power of space. Unfortunately, Wang Lan had already used up all the power of space, so the Spatial Phoenix form couldn't be used. As for the third form, Wang Lan planned to integrate all his attributes into it. Before this, Wang Lan had already used the system to integrate more than a dozen attributes, including mist, melt, scorch, ice, crystal, explosion, flame, and so on. However, he hadn't learned the corresponding Takashi Hoshi skills for these attributes. It wasn't that Wang Lan didn't want to, but that his skill points didn't allow it. But now, the Phoenix form was the best Takashi Hoshi skill and the best carrier. After these attributes were integrated into the phoenix form could mimic them. Wang Lan stood not far from Jiang Xinyu and took a deep breath, instantly mobilizing the star power around him. Phoenix form, activate. The phoenix form that didn't require skill points was awesome. He could activate and deactivate it whenever he wanted. There was no longer a 24-hour cooldown. Seeing Wang Lan open her phoenix form, Jiang Xinyu's cultivation of attribute fusion came to a sudden halt. Let's integrate Melt first. Wang Lan thought. Melt was lava, a brand new attribute formed by the integration of the fire and earth attributes. It had the temperature of fire, the weight of earth, and the impact of water. Wang Lan used this attribute a lot. It was also Wang Lan's main AoE attribute. Attribute integration was much easier than Wang Lan had imagined. There was no sense of instability or danger of explosion at any time. It was as if the phoenix form was a pool, and Wang Lan only needed to pour the attributes he wanted to import into the pool. Boom! Suddenly, the phoenix form changed again. The phoenix shadow around Wang Lan became more solid, and powerful star power rippled from Wang Lan's body, stirring up the clouds in the sky. With the influx of fused star power, the phoenix emblem around Wang Lan's body began to turn dark red. In the phantom image in the sky, colorful feathers appeared on the phoenix's body. The tail feathers on the phoenix's back were also bright red. This is Li Yi, who had rushed over after hearing the noise, stared at Wang Lan in a daze. He had thought that there was a battle, but he didn't expect such a terrifying aura and a heavy pressure to Li Yi. It turned out that Wang Lan was cultivating the Takashi Hoshi technique. Oppressive might was the pressure emitted by the strong to the weak. This was not an intentional suppression of the realm. Most of the time, this kind of pressure was uncontrollable. But, Wang Lan, you just broke through to the Star Sea realm. You, an early-stage Star Sea realm cultivator, are pressuring me, a mid-stage Star Sea realm cultivator? If word of this got out, would I still have the face to live? After the phoenix form was completely unsealed, its appearance was indeed not quite the same. Previously, Wang Lan's body would at most be surrounded by flames, and there would not be a phoenix emblem around him like now. Although there might not be a substantial increase in strength, the difference in aura was like heaven and earth. It was easy to distinguish what was authentic and what was fake. After Melt was imported, Wang Lan continued to import new attributes: mist, scorch, ice, thunder, and with every attribute added, Wang Lan's emblem would gain a new color, and the phoenix emblem around him will become more realistic and gorgeous. In the end, Wang Lan discovered that he could at most inject 9 attributes into the phoenix form. The 10th attribute would replace the previous one. The 9-attribute phoenix form shone with multicolored light. Wang Lan called this mimicry the 5-colored phoenix form. In terms of power, it might not be stronger than the Dragon Emperor form, but it was definitely not weaker. If the Dragon Emperor form specialized in close combat, then the 5-colored phoenix form specialized in pure magic, and this form was definitely a nightmare on the battlefield. After spending 3 days to consolidate his cultivation and develop the new mimicry form, the rest was naturally how to use the 5 extreme fire arts. Although he had successfully cultivated it, he was still not proficient in using it. With Wang Lan's experience, normally he would need to reach level 5 to be proficient in it. But this Takashi Hoshi technique, it required 1,000,000 skill points to level up. If he really reached level 5, Wang Lan might have already been killed by it. The 5 flames all had different ways of attacking. The true Samadhi fire could spit fire, so it could attack in an area, which was good news. The true sun fire could only be gathered into a ball or a line attack, and it could not spread. In Wang Lan's eyes, this was a single target attack type flame. The Netherworld Ghost Flame and Red Lotus Karmic Fire could only form a small cluster of flames, and the consumption of star energy was almost comparable to annihilation. As for the Holy Sacred Fire, it was a flame that turned into light. In Wang Lan's eyes, it was not even a flame. With the increase in Takashi Hoshi's level and the new Takashi Hoshi technique, Wang Lan had to familiarize himself with the new combat style as soon as possible. So in the past few days, Wang Lan had been familiarizing himself with the use of the new ability. Commander Wang, District Commander Lin is here. He wants to see you. Okay. Wang Lan responded faintly and interrupted his cultivation. He looked at Jiang Xinyu, who was sitting not far away and absorbing the soul orb, and said, Xinyu, District Commander Lin is here. I have to go. Okay. Lin Yao did not look old. He should have just reached 40. He was an old man who was getting more and more handsome. His hair was neatly combed, and his chiseled face was chiseled. Commander Wang Lan of the Southwest District, commander of the medical team of the Clear Wind Reclaimers. Senior Colonel Wang. Lin Yao looked at Wang Lan and did not know whether to laugh or cry. I was wondering why a title battle pet warrior like you would come here for an internship like any other student. But it's good that you're here. If you didn't come, the Southwest District will be finished. Commander Lin, you flatter me. Senior Colonel Wang. What do you think of the Southwest District? What do you think of these brothers? We're all good brothers. We're brave enough to fight and fight. We're not afraid of death. Wang Lan did not know what Lin Yao was up to. Come to my Southwest District in the future. I'll let you be my assistant. You have the highest rank after me. Wang Lan, I know you're still working in the Heavenly Sword Bureau. You're already a senior colonel in the Heavenly Sword Bureau. But I have to say that the Heavenly Sword Bureau is too oppressive. It's not suitable for a young man like you. Besides, even if you're promoted to a general, how many people can you take care of? In my opinion, the Wasteland Reclaimers are the best. If you join me, I can't guarantee anything else, but you'll definitely be a general. You've saved the lives of all our brothers in the Southwest District. They'll all obey you. Isn't it fun to take care of tens of thousands of people and command tens of thousands of people? Young men should have the heart to gallop on the battlefield. Commander Lin, you flatter me. I'm still a student, but I'll definitely consider your suggestion. If I want to join, I'll contact you in advance. You are really different. You don't have the arrogance of a peerless genius. Geniuses who are too arrogant might not be able to live until now. The headquarters wants you to go there immediately. With your speed, it shouldn't be a problem, right? When will you arrive? Just get there today. Okay. Commander Lin, I'll take my leave first. Okay. Take the note and go to the headquarters. Someone will pick you up. Wang Lan opened the Star Palace and put on the Phoenix Saint garment instantly. The silver cape behind him turned into a pair of wings. Originally, Wang Lan had many ways to fly. There was light and heavy displacement, and there was also the winged form of the Phoenix. But both of these required astral power. The wings of the Phoenix Saint garment were the only flight function that came with the Saint garment. The district headquarters was about 400 kilometers away from the headquarters. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu flew for 2 hours before arriving. But now Wang Lan was the only one who was twice as fast. In less than an hour, he landed outside the headquarters. Folding his wings, Wang Lan walked slowly to the headquarters. Before he got close, a middle-aged man wearing glasses strode over. Are you Wang Lan? Yes, Southwest District. Intern Wang Lan of the Qingfeng Wasteland Reclaimers. I'm here to report. Hello, I'm the Chief of Staff of the Yunhai Reclaimer Space Headquarters, Deng Jiaxian. Please follow me. The Commander-in-Chief is waiting for you. Chapter 486. Wang Lan met Shun Xiaowu, the Commander-in-Chief of the Cloud Sea Reclamation Area, as well as 2 title battle pet warriors, White Dragon and Black Fox. The younger generation will surpass us in time. After exchanging a salute with Wang Lan, Shin Xiaowu looked at Wang Lan and exclaimed, You are the second genius Takashi Hoshi to reach the Star Sea realm before the age of 20 and get a title at the same time. Looking at you, I am confident in the future of the Jade State. Huh? Have I been given a title? Wang Lan asked curiously. Yes, the higher-ups have confirmed that you will be given a title. Now, there are a few titles for you to choose from. The first is the most popular title, Wolf God. Your name is Wang Lan, and the word wolf in your name is a homonym. Therefore, your title must have the word wolf in it. The first time you appeared in public, you used the name Wolf Cub, and then you were called Wolf King. Therefore, there are 3 titles for you to choose from. Wolf God, Wolf King, and Greedy Wolf. You can choose one. Isn't it too arrogant to call me Wolf God? Wolf King doesn't sound that impressive. Greedy Wolf it is. Okay, I will reply to the higher-ups. Congratulations, Greedy Wolf. You are now the 95th titled Battle Pet Warrior in the Jade State, and your code name is Greedy Wolf. Commander-in-Chief, Seniors, I'm afraid you didn't call me here just to tell me about the title, right? Wang Lan guessed. How did you know? Shun Xiaowu looked at Wang Lan expectantly, waiting for him to continue. Because of the Beast Tide. When we encountered the Beast Tide, there was a battle in the southwest region. At first, I thought the Beast Tide was caused by a big movement in the southwest region. Although it was sudden and I didn't receive any warning, I felt that the Beast Tide wasn't as simple as it seemed. After that, I learned that there were Beast Tides in all 5 directions of the Cloud Sea Reclamation Area, which was strange. 3 days have passed. I think the headquarters should have some results by now. As expected of the Greedy Wolf, who is the nemesis of demon spies. You are indeed very sharp. Black Fox grinned and praised with satisfaction. That's right. The Beast Tide this time was too sudden and too strange. Not only us, but the surrounding countries were also affected by it. The Titanium Country, the Vine Country, and other countries all encountered the Beast Tide when they opened up new spaces. Our 4 countries have sent out elite teams to investigate the depths of the chaotic fog, and they have finally confirmed that the El Nino phenomenon is about to erupt in the Cloud Sea region. El Nino? What's that? An area of effect super Beast Tide. The dimensions of the alternate dimensions will overlap and join together, and all the exotic beasts will go on a rampage. Do you know that there are tens of millions of exotic beasts in this area? Once all of them go on a rampage, how much of an impact will it cause to the explorers? Then what should we do? Do we have any measures? Wang Lan asked with a slight frown. Let's try to resist first. If we can't do it, we'll compress the defensive line and concentrate the power of the entire Cloud Sea to resist the Beast Tide. We don't know how big the scale of the Beast Tide this time will be, and how much damage it will cause to us. The last El Nino phenomenon happened 30 years ago. You definitely don't know how tragic it was, but the 3 of us still have some memories of it. More than a third of the explorers in the Cloud Sea region died. More than 100,000 explorers died. Other than the few battles where the demons invaded, that was the battle with the highest number of casualties. Hearing this number, Wang Lan's heart suddenly skipped a beat, and his face became very serious. More than 100,000 Takashi Hoshi died. What kind of concept was that? It was not easy for the country to train more than 100,000 Takashi Hoshi. The last Beast Tide wasn't even the strongest recorded in history. The El Nino phenomenon has appeared in the Cloud Sea region since 3,000 years ago. No one knows why it happened, but there is no doubt that every time it happens, it is a huge disaster. Originally, the 3 of us were worried that if it really happened, the 3 of us would only be able to guard the south, west, and north. But at this time, you were sent here. It was really timely. And when I received the news, I immediately applied for support from the Department of National Defense. If the support can arrive before El Nino, we can minimize the loss. So during this time, you will stay in the headquarters and be ready to support at any time. Okay, but can I go to the southwest first? I want to pick someone up. That's not a problem. Is it your little girlfriend? Yes. After Wang Lan left the headquarters, he returned to the ice cliff again. He only told Jiang Xinyu that the headquarters ordered them to be transferred to the headquarters and did not say anything else. Wang Lan could not tell them much about the El Nino phenomenon, as it would easily affect their morale. So, I have to call you Lord Greed in the future? On the way, after listening to Wang Lan's story, Jiang Xinyu thought about it and asked jokingly, "Who are we?" Forget about Lord Greed. In the future, you can call me Lord Greed, Lord Wang Lan, Lord Hubby. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Hearing Wang Lan's painful cry, Jiang Xinyu was satisfied and let go of the soft flesh on Wang Lan's waist. Is the El Nino phenomenon scary? Will a lot of people die? This is the first time I've heard of it. I've heard of the El Nino phenomenon before, but that's natural climate. It's hot and dry. When it's hot, it's extremely hot. When it's cold, it's extremely cold. I didn't know there was a Beast Tide version. There are more than 100 students in the Cloud Sea region. I don't know how many will survive this time. Don't worry too much. The headquarters will send support. Maybe they will arrive tonight. At the same time, the headquarters' nerves suddenly tightened. Of the 12 elite scouting teams that were sent out, 4 of them had already lost contact. These 12 scouting teams all had communication bees with them, so they could report back to the headquarters as soon as possible. However, when these 4 scouting teams lost contact, there was no news at all. It was as if they suddenly disappeared in an instant, and even they didn't react. The scouting teams sent by the headquarters into the chaotic fog were definitely all elite teams at the Starsea realm. To be able to make them lose contact without any time to react, it could be seen how terrifying the trouble they encountered this time was. The information that the remaining 8 scouting teams sent back made everyone's scalp go numb. In the entire chaotic fog, exotic beasts were crazily gathering. Just from one direction alone, there were already no less than 200,000 exotic beasts. This beast tide was twice as ferocious as the previous beast tide. The problem was that these exotic beasts were still gathering. It was impossible to estimate how many exotic beasts there would be when they attacked. In total, the number of exotic beasts had already exceeded 1 million. Moreover, this number was still constantly rising. A riot of 1 million was already the limit of the Cloud Sea reclamation space. It had to be known that this was a reclamation space, not a training field. The proportion of powerful exotic beasts in the reclamation space was very high. Among the 1 million exotic beasts, at least 10,000 were at the Starsea realm. Feng Niao, tell them to estimate when the next beast tide will start. I can't estimate. The exotic beasts' emotions are very unstable. They are rubbing against each other. Exotic beasts had a terrifying characteristic like locusts. When they were alone or in small numbers, their emotions would be very stable. However, once the number of exotic beasts reached a certain scale and the density reached a certain level, they would collectively go berserk. In berserk mode, they didn't feel fear or pain. They were a group of killing machines. Moreover, in berserk mode, their collective battle strength would increase by 10%. This was a very exaggerated and despair-inducing statistic. Not good. Feng Niao suddenly cried out in alarm. The exotic beasts in the northwest are rioting. Damn it, Black Fox, hurry and rush to the northwest. If things don't work out, you must ensure the safety of the main force. The situation has already reached this point. A voice rang out. The door of the command center was pushed open, and 3 middle-aged men appeared in the command center. Damn, it's the 3 of you. Old Shun, long time no see. You're still freaking alive. Get lost. Who talks like that? Commander-in-Chief, the beast tide in the south is rioting. It's estimated that they will attack our checkpoint in half an hour. Coming at the right time is better than coming early. Shen Xiao looked at the 3 people with a smile. Dongfang He, Sun Chong, and how about you two help me guard the south? Old Shun, you're so mean. I came all the way here to help, and you don't even give me a sip of water before sending me to work? Is this something a human would do? Forget it, old Sun. Let's go. Let's go see what's so impressive about the berserk exotic beasts. We'll each suppress a beast tide. Dongfang, don't be arrogant. Although this sounds awesome, it's not something a normal person can do. Wang Lan had no choice back then. I know. Do you really think I don't know what to do? When Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu entered the gate of the headquarters, they happened to see 2 tidal battle pet warriors flying to the south. Wang Lan looked at the 2 in confusion. Judging by their astral power waves, they were definitely experts. But he hadn't seen them in the headquarters. Had the backup arrived? Wang Lan handed Jiang Xinyu to the Human Resources Department and asked them to arrange the entry and exit documents. Then, he hurried to the command center. The Arlean Mountains are a natural defense line in the north, and the terrain there is suitable for you to fight. So, I'll leave the north to you, White Dragon. No problem. Leave it to me. Now, only the west is left. There are no natural barriers in the west, and the defense line is long. If the exotic beasts really attack, the west will be at a disadvantage. Earthly Walker, Greedy Wolf. Yes, sir. You two go to the west immediately. Earthly Walker, your Takashi Hoshi is the best in the world. You and Wang Lan work together and change the terrain to build strong enough fortifications before the beast strikes. That way, you'll feel better when the beast strikes. Commander-in-Chief, if Earthly Walker and I go to the west, what about the southwest defense line? Isn't there the ice cliff in the southwest? That natural barrier is more suitable for defense than the Arlean Mountains in the north. I'll be there in person. If you can do it, I can do it too. Earthly Walker was a middle-aged man, less than 6 meters tall. He was short and smart. If it weren't for his aura, Wang Lan wouldn't have associated him with a titled battle pet warrior. He was a natural fit for the idiot in the subway station. Wang Lan didn't know much about titled battle pet warriors, unlike some of his classmates who could name the titled battle pet warriors from 1 to 93. Earthly Walker was a titled Earthly Walker, but he traveled by flying in the sky, using the same method as Wang Lan. Chapter 487. Due to the beast horde, the entire reclamation space in Cloud Sea was tense. The western region had always been the weakest region. However, the commander of the western region, Hu Jinyu, was a ruthless person. He moved the headquarters to the westernmost front line and had the commander guard the front line personally. When Wang Lan and Earthwalker arrived, they saw a reclamation team that had suffered heavy casualties returning to the camp. The commander rushed out to welcome the return of the heroes. "Commander, this is bad. The beast horde is rioting. There are so many of them, at least 500,000, I know. Go and rest. Everyone, listen up. Get ready to fight. Although we've prepared a retreat plan, it's still a backup plan. However, this is just a backup plan. Our first priority is still to defend the front line. Before I die or before I give the order, no one is allowed to carry out the backup plan. Those who disobey will be executed." Yes, at this moment, 2 figures slowly descended from the sky. "Who is it?" Hu Jinyu looked at the sky like a lion and shouted, "Earthwalker Zhou Shan." Earthwalker put his hands behind his back and replied calmly. The name instantly turned Hu Jinyu's vigilant expression into ecstasy. "Your Highness Earthwalker, you're here. That's great. Sir Earthwalker, the exotic beast might be rioting." "Yes, that's why we're here." "All right, I don't think I need to introduce him, right?" Zhou Shan pointed at Wang Lan and said calmly, "He is." Yuan Shiyu really didn't know who Wang Lan was. After all, even though Wang Lan's reputation in the Cloud Sea was like the sun in the sky, there weren't many people who knew him. Only the 2 reclamation teams in the southwest region knew him. "You don't know him? Isn't he known by everyone in the Cloud Sea?" Xiao Shan asked doubtfully. "Hello, Commander Hu Jinyu. I'm Wang Lan." "You're Wang Lan. Damn, I've heard so much about you. You've done a great job in the southwest region. I'm so jealous of Lin Yao for being able to get a treasure like you. Do you want to come to the western region? I feel like you're fated with the western region." When he heard this, Wang Lan was confused. He looked at Yuan Shiyu and realized that Yuan Shiyu wasn't bald. "Fate with the west. Are you trying to convert me?" "Ha ha ha. Yuan Shiyu, you can't ask the Greed Wolf to help you now. He has just been given a title. He is a titled battle pet warrior now." "He got a title just like that? So fast. If you can suppress a beast tied by yourself and slaughter 100,000 mutated beasts, you can do the same. All right, let's not talk anymore. Work is more important." After Earthwalker finished speaking, his body instantly disappeared into the ground. When he reappeared, George was already outside the defensive line. George looked at the defensive formation and shook his head slightly. "Uncle Chow, what's wrong? What's wrong with the defensive position?" "There's nothing wrong with that, but wanting to rely on this defensive position to stop the exotic beasts is no different from a fool's dream. Fortunately, I'm good at building fortifications." As he spoke, he took out a scroll from his spatial wrist. George spread the scroll flat on the ground and unfurled it. The scroll was an ink painting of mountains and rivers. The terrain was dangerous, and the mountains were like forests. George slapped his palm on the scroll. Reality in the painting rumbled. In an instant, the ground shook. All the pioneers looked at the front of the defensive position in fear. The ground seemed to be recovering and changing rapidly. At the end of his field of vision, There were steep mountain peaks that rose from the flat ground that stretched for 10 kilometers. Each mountain was over 500 meters tall. The mountains sparkled with strange rocks, and the peaks were as straight as swords. Let alone the pioneers, even Wang Lan, who was also a titled battle pet warrior, looked at this ordinary-looking man who was less than 6 meters tall in fear. The range of Takashi Hoshi skills was affected by the strength of the Takashi Hoshi user. Most people's attack range was within 100 meters. Only those above the Galaxy Realm could reach 300 meters. All of Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi skills, except for long-range attacks like the Star God Arrow, could only cover 1 kilometer at most. Even when the Lotus the Arch used Life Firmament to protect the entire skyscraper park, it could only cover about 2 kilometers. However, George's Takashi Hoshi skill could cover a range of 10 kilometers. Moreover, he could uproot mountains within this range. Was he still human? Even abyss-level exotic beasts wouldn't dare to do this, right? Hee. I'm a little special. My astral power storage has been very long since I was young. Therefore, Takashi Hoshi is more suitable for me in this kind of terrain. Actually, my combat strength isn't high. It's because of this ability that I was given a title. It was impossible for Wang Lan to believe such words. Being a titled battle pet warrior wasn't enough just to have strength. They also had to make outstanding contributions to the country and have a certain reputation. However, strength was the prerequisite for everything. A person with strength might not be able to become a titled battle pet warrior, but a titled battle pet warrior definitely had strength. If Wang Lan had George's astral power, what would he have to worry about? He could just use Takashi Hoshi's skill over a large area. This lasted for about half an hour before the entire terrain changed. At this moment, the terrain outside the base had undergone earth-shattering changes. The originally flat terrain had been replaced by an undulating mountain range. The base, which was easy to attack but difficult to defend, was now easy to defend but difficult to attack. Looking down at the base from above, Wang Lan only had admiration for the Earthwalker in his heart. Wang Lan might not be able to do this in his entire life. Suddenly, Wang Lan retracted his gaze and looked into the distance. On the other side of the mountain range, the chaotic fog started to surge irregularly. Wang Lan's expression changed. He instantly came to the front of the base, less than a kilometer away from the chaotic fog. The Earthwalker appeared beside Wang Lan out of nowhere and said solemnly, "Not good. The beast tide is coming. Everyone, get ready to enter the base. The beast tide is coming." George's voice rang out, and all the pioneers quickly gathered. The mountain range that George had created was a natural barrier to stop the exotic beasts, and also a fortress that they could rely on. After entering the base, they could find an ambush point on every mountain peak. There were less than 30,000 soldiers at the front line in the western region. However, they had to face a beast tide of hundreds of thousands. This little force was like instant coffee, gone in an instant. As expected, the black mass of exotic beasts suddenly charged out of the chaotic fog and charged toward the defensive base in the western region. Yellow Springs dominoes. Wang Lan suddenly slammed his palm down. In an instant, the base that stretched for 10 kilometers suddenly shook. Numerous yellow springs dominoes rose from the ground, sealing off the valleys between the mountains. If the terrain before was like a forest of swords, then the current terrain was a complicated maze. These yellow springs gates became barriers that the exotic beasts had to break through time and time again. The first batch of exotic beasts roared as they charged out of the fog, but they weren't the first to clash with Wang Lan and the others. That was because a few seconds later, a large group of flying exotic beasts also charged out of the fog and charged toward the Reclaimer's base in the western region. Flying exotic beasts were relatively rare among exotic beasts. Most alternate dimensions didn't have any flying exotic beasts. At the same time, flying exotic beasts were also the most troublesome exotic beasts. Perhaps they were all Nebula exotic beasts, but they could fly, so their true combat prowess was probably higher than a Galaxy Realm exotic beast. Air superiority was a great blow no matter which world it was in. Suddenly, a reclaimer hiding behind cover pointed at the black clouds in the sky and screamed, "What's that?" "Flying exotic beasts." "It's over." "Damn, are they still exotic beasts?" They actually know to use the Air Force to bombard them first? There's so many flying exotic beasts. Even a few hundred of them would be a huge threat to us. With so many of them, there must be at least 10,000 of them, right? It's over. It's really over this time. Fortunately, Wang Lan and Xiao Shan both know how to fly. Let's hope they can think of a way to restrain the flying exotic beasts. Otherwise, who knows how many of us will die in this battle? That's impossible. Even if the two title battle pet warriors can fly, they can't be as fast or as agile as the exotic beasts. At this moment, Wang Lan put on the Phoenix Saint robe and summoned the Sword of Light. The Sword of Light turned into a sword aura that was more than 10 meters long and pointed at the exotic beasts in the sky. Phoenix form, 5-colored phoenix open. The flying exotic beasts turned a blind eye to Wang Lan's sword aura. Perhaps they were used to flying in the sky, so the exotic beasts on the ground couldn't do anything to them. No matter how strong the enemy was, they wouldn't be a threat to their safety. Thousands of flying exotic beasts flashed with astral power waves and swooped down at the Reclaimer's base. Wings of light, hell! Boom! The Sword of Light exploded, turning into countless tiny needle-like light swords that shot into the sky, leaving a barrage in the sky where the flying exotic beasts would definitely pass. Boom! 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 The flying exotic beasts crashed into the barrage of light swords. In an instant, countless flying exotic beast bodies fell from the sky. How could one describe how tragic this scene was? It was like a mosquito swatter was set up in the yard and turned on, and countless mosquitoes darted toward the swatter like moths to the flame. After a round of attacks, at least hundreds of flying exotic beasts were shot down. But it wasn't over yet. Wang Lan extended a pair of wings on his back and flapped them to chase after the flying exotic beasts. Enhanced by the Phoenix Saint robe and the Phoenix form, Wang Lan's flying skills had long surpassed those of ordinary flying exotic beasts. This scene was like a crosstalk. It had always been the flying exotic beasts that ran over others. They had never been run over by a human being. However, the human being behind them was too ferocious. They didn't know what those light spots were. Anyway, as long as they hit them, they would definitely die. Also, the number of those light spots was frightening. It wasn't that there weren't any exotic beasts that didn't want to change this situation. Some of them turned around and opened their mouths, intending to shoot out Takashi Hoshi to attack that fellow. At most, they would fight to the death. However, before the Takashi Hoshi could launch its attack, a Sword of Light had blasted its head open. The fish died, but the net didn't break. Their flying speed couldn't compare to the other parties, and they couldn't defeat the other party in a fight. Under the gazes of all the dumbfounded pioneers, the magnificent feat of a single human chasing down and killing 10,000 flying exotic beasts was performed. As expected of an existence who suppressed a beast tied alone and slaughtered 100,000 exotic beasts. Yuan Shiyu looked at the scene in the sky, not knowing whether to laugh or cry, and couldn't help but sigh. With such strength, he'll probably be at the top even among the titled experts. Chapter 488. At this moment, the beast tied at the front lines had already surged into the defensive line. The exotic beasts and Takashi Hoshi's tactics seemed to be on opposite ends of the spectrum. The exotic beasts attacked the ordinary exotic beasts first, followed by the powerful ones. The Takashi Hoshi, on the other hand, attacked the powerful Takashi Hoshi first, paying the smallest price in exchange for the greatest results. The entire terrain was created by George, and his combat style was also to control the terrain. The ground caved in, the mountains collapsed, the earth churned, and the rocks rolled. Soon, large swathes of exotic beasts were blocked by George in every path of the defensive line. However, in terms of speed, George was obviously much slower than Wang Lan. Although there were many exotic beasts trapped, only a small number were killed. That was George's limitation. The earth element Takashi Hoshi's attacks were basically crushing, but most exotic beasts weren't as weak as humans. A boulder weighing several tons might not be able to crush an armored exotic beast to death, even if it was smashed head-on. The exotic beast didn't slow down in the slightest, pouring into the defensive line like a hot knife through butter. They were only stopped for a moment when they reached the gates of the underworld. The Takashi Hoshi hiding in the terrain didn't stay idle, either. They started activating their Takashi Hoshi combination, massacring the exotic beasts below. If it were any other situation, the exotic beasts wouldn't be able to retaliate at all if they occupied the advantageous terrain and launched a blanket attack from above. The 30,000 explorers could achieve an overwhelming victory at a very low price. However, there were too many exotic beasts this time. Not only that, they were all under the effects of berserk halos. Not only did their resistance to attacks increase, but their numbers were also terrifying. The Takashi Hoshi felt that there were too many of them, and they couldn't kill them all. 10 minutes into the battle, casualties had already started appearing. The densely packed exotic beasts swarmed into one of the explorers' positions, instantly tearing apart one of the explorers' teams. Compared to Wang Lan, who was in the sky, the killing efficiency of the monsters below was much lower. Perhaps it was not that the Wasteland Reclaimers were weak, but Wang Lan's fighting ability was too strong. From the very beginning, Wang Lan had determined his fighting style. He would fight alone, and his goal was to kill as fast as possible. That's why Wang Lan used Hell Butterfly Dance and Zanpakuto as his most commonly used combat skills. Scorching Ray, Devil's Snare Flower, and so on were also created to supplement the shortcomings of Wang Lan's combat style. Even if it was an AoE skill, Wang Lan would always aim for maximum damage output. Looking at Wang Lan alone, one couldn't see the uniqueness of Wang Lan's style. However, compared to Xiao Shan, who was also a title battle pet warrior, Wang Lan's style was completely different. At the same realm and with the same strength, Xiao Shan's battle style depended on a range, but his destructive power was only slightly stronger than the average Star C tier. Xiao Shan could fight 10 or more Star C tier Takashi Hoshi by himself, but he definitely couldn't kill a Star C tier Takashi Hoshi in one hit. Wang Lan could also fight 10 Star C tier cultivators, but he was confident that he could instantly kill all 10 of them. That was why his damage output was so terrifying. The average strength of the flying exotic beasts in the sky was Nebula. There were a few Galaxy Tier 1s occasionally, but they were no different from Nebula in Wang Lan's eyes. Damn it, it was still an instant kill. Therefore, while the battle below was in a stalemate, the one person in the sky was almost done fighting 10,000 flying exotic beasts. The remaining flying exotic beasts let out a series of mournful wails. It was as if they were complaining to the heavens about their unfair treatment. Too miserable, too aggrieved. An army of 10,000 charging together. Even if their heads were trampled on, they couldn't understand how a single person could be beaten so miserably after chasing 10,000 of them. Were they even wiped out? Their flying speed wasn't as fast as Wang Lan's. Their dodging speed wasn't as fast as Wang Lan's. Their attack range wasn't as far as Wang Lan's. And their attack frequency couldn't be compared to Wang Lan's. Wang Lan's Sword of Light was hundreds or thousands of them at a time. Frankly speaking, after 7 or 8 rounds, most of the flying exotic beasts were slaughtered. Even after they were killed, they were still evaluated as not a single one of them could fight. Soul beads fell from the sky like rain. The Takashi Hoshi hiding below the range of the aerial battle wished they could put on a helmet. It was still very painful when the soul beads fell from the sky and smashed on the top of their heads. Gulp. Fujinyu looked at the cleared flying exotic beasts in the sky. At this moment, he couldn't find any words to describe his current feelings. That was an army of flying exotic beasts, an army of 10,000. How was this the air control force of the beast tide? This was the vanguard. This group of exotic beasts, which he had originally viewed as the greatest threat, was actually the first group to withdraw from the battle. Not only that, they'd even destroyed the enemy's most threatening army at the price of 0 casualties. Wang Lan's reputation was indeed well-deserved. When the last exotic beast was cut in half by Wang Lan's 15-meter-long soul slasher, Wang Lan slowly descended from the sky and landed on a mountain peak. He lowered his head and looked at the battle below, frowning slightly. In the chaos ocean, there were still countless exotic beasts gushing out crazily. The exotic beasts that filled the mountains and plains felt like they were going to drown the entire 10-kilometer terrain. Although there were many exotic beasts, the speed at which the Wasteland Reclamation Team killed them was also slower than Wang Lan expected. With such a slow speed, it was only a matter of time before the exotic beasts broke through the defense line. No longer hesitating, he came to a canyon passage where exotic beasts were gathered in a flash. Heaven and Earth Millstone. In the sky, a formation instantly appeared, covering an area with a radius of 500 meters. Within the formation, countless meteors fell like rain. On the ground, a formation also appeared in the center of the exotic beasts. In an instant, scarlet lava gushed out from the formation. Heaven and Earth Millstone was the combination skill of apocalyptic heavenly fire and lava gushing from the ground. When this skill was used, all the Wasteland Reclaimers who were fighting immediately forgot to fight. Even George, who was fending off the exotic beasts, was suddenly petrified as he looked at the scene before him. What kind of doomsday scene was this? Meteors with flames in the sky kept smashing into the ground. Within the ground, lava spread out in all directions like a tsunami. All the exotic beasts in the area were swallowed by the lava. Those who weren't afraid of the lava were all smashed to death by the meteors. It was like a razor gently sweeping across the target area. None of the exotic beasts in the area were lucky enough to survive. Every second, hundreds of exotic beasts were killed. Whether the exotic beasts had armor stacking, anti-armor, or magic, they were all packed up and burned to ashes. One of the Wasteland Reclaimers hesitantly asked, "What is this a divine skill?" The meteors in the sky were like a waterfall, while the lava on the ground was like a fountain. It was a spectacle of heaven and earth. If they didn't know that this was a Takashi Hoshi skill, they would have thought that it was a magical ability. I finally believe that Wang Lan really killed 100,000 exotic beasts by himself. Just based on this Takashi Hoshi skill, just based on this efficiency, let alone 100,000, I believe it even if it was 1,000,000. However, this was only the beginning for Wang Lan. After dealing with one area, Wang Lan's figure flashed, and he arrived at another area where the exotic beasts were squashing. This was a tunnel that had been created. The 1-kilometer-long tunnel was packed with exotic beasts. The exotic beasts advanced dauntlessly, breaking through the gates of the underworld one after another, charging into the depths of the terrain like a hot knife through butter. Looking at this terrain, Wang Lan actually licked his lips in excitement. This terrain was too perfect. Let's try out the composite Takashi Hoshi skill in the form of a 5-colored phoenix. Mountain flood lava. Wang Lan suddenly opened his mouth. Along with the surge of astral power, a mouthful of lava spewed out from Wang Lan's mouth. Then, the Phoenix Phantom turned into a huge formation. The lava broke through the formation and instantly turned into a silver river, gushing out in torrents. Lava had the temperature of fire, the weight of earth, and the impact of water. In an instant, the lava rushed into the tunnel, as if a dam had been opened. The lava instantly swallowed the 1-kilometer-long tunnel. Inside the tunnel, tens of thousands of exotic beasts were thrashing about in the lava. Not all exotic beasts were afraid of lava. Some exotic beasts were born with the ability to bathe in lava. Although the exotic beasts suffered heavy casualties, many still stepped on the corpses of their companions and continued charging forward. When Wang Lan saw the entire tunnel being swallowed by lava, he suddenly retracted the Takashi Hoshi skill and revealed a cruel smile. Icebound 1,000 miles. This was the S-grade Takashi Hoshi skill that Jiang Xinyu had obtained. Although Wang Lan hadn't learned it, the 5-colored phoenix form had the ice attribute added to it. He could use the ice element to simulate it. Although a breath of cold air couldn't really freeze the lava instantly, it could quickly cool the boiling lava. After cooling down, the lava would lose its fluidity and turn into hot stones. In an instant, the tens of thousands of exotic beasts that were lucky enough to survive were imprisoned in the lava, unable to move. Heaven falls and earth rends. Boom, boom, boom. Wang Lan listened to the explosion and silently turned around. A man should turn his back to the explosion. At this moment, Wang Lan turned around because he was extremely confident. Lava, icebound, and exploding into pieces. After 3 rounds of the S-grade Takashi Hoshi skill, there wouldn't be a single exotic beast left alive. The Wasteland Reclaimers who saw this scene from start to finish fell into a daze once again. If the Heaven and Earth millstone from before was a shocking visual impact, then Wang Lan's 3 textbook attacks were a shocking psychological impact. The lava engulfed and cleared 2/3 of the exotic beasts that couldn't survive in high temperature. The frozen lava froze the remaining 1/3 of the exotic beasts. Before that, he had buried the Thunder-Earth fusion astral power and detonated it immediately after the lava froze, blowing all the frozen exotic beasts into pieces. He didn't blindly use the Takashi Hoshi skill to kill the exotic beasts. Instead, he had a clear sequence. When he activated the impact of the lava, he had even prepared an ambush for the final explosion. 30,000 exotic beasts were slaughtered in just a few minutes. What kind of killing speed was this? Wang Lan's strength was actually this terrifying. Previously, George's attitude toward Wang Lan was still that of a junior who had made a name for himself and obtained the qualifications to become a titled expert due to some fluke. But now, his attitude toward Wang Lan could only be described with 2 words: sincere admiration. George didn't deny that Wang Lan was a genius, and he also admitted that Wang Lan was a genius. He even believed that Wang Lan's future achievements wouldn't just be a titled expert, or even one of the 5 emperors. But that was the future, not the present. After all, Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi was only at the early stage of supercluster. In the past few months, George had heard more than once that the Yu family was applying for a title for Princess Yu. Although he didn't say anything, he also thought so. A 22-year-old girl who was only at the late stage of Takashi Hoshi was applying for a title? As far as George knew, a late-stage supercluster wasn't even qualified to apply for a title, let alone an early-stage supercluster. However, seeing that Wang Lan had made such a great contribution, everyone agreed with it. What George acknowledged was Wang Lan's achievements, not his strength. Originally, George thought that this idea would last for a long time, but even if he was beaten to death, he didn't dare to believe that this idea wouldn't even last for a day. Chapter 489. Not only did Wang Lan have the merits of titled expert, but he also had the strength of a titled expert. No, it wasn't just about the strength of a titled expert. His strength had exceeded that by too much. George dared to swear that among all the titled experts he knew, there was no one who could kill the exotic beasts at such a fast speed. All of them were super S-grade, large-scale Takashi Hoshi skills. It was already impressive for a titled expert to have 1 or 2 super S-grade Takashi Hoshi skills, but Wang Lan was able to throw them out so casually without taking a breather. That was too savage. The exotic beasts were originally squeezing in from 3 different directions, but Wang Lan had single-handedly dealt with 2 of them. How were the others supposed to survive? Without any hesitation, George clasped his hands together and a terrifying amount of astral power gushed out. Earth healing. Boom! A huge crack suddenly appeared in the ground where the exotic beasts were squeezing in from. Tens of thousands of exotic beasts fell into the huge crack like dumplings thrown into boiling water. This was just the beginning of the Takashi Hoshi skill. The real difficulty was yet to come. The crack in the ground could only be called earth healing after it was completely healed. George pressed down with both hands, and the 2 valleys quickly merged together. Boom! With a huge sound, the 2 pieces of land collided together. However, to ensure that he could kill all the exotic beasts, George rubbed his hands together crazily, and the two pieces of land rubbed against each other violently. The intense rubbing brought about terrifying pressure and terrifying heat. In an instant, flames spewed out from the crack, and lava spewed out like a volcanic eruption. The tens of thousands of exotic beasts that were swallowed were also killed by George's attack. Uncle Xiao, so you can kill exotic beasts quickly. Then why were you so slow earlier? Wang Lan slowly descended. Before she even touched the ground, her voice had already reached Xiao Shan's ears. You make it sound so easy. Only then did Wang Lan see the state of George's ears. George's face was pale, his body was trembling, and he was panting like a cow. His limbs were weak, as if they had just been hollowed out. Bean-sized beads of cold sweat dripped down from his bald forehead. You think everyone is like you, like a monster like you. Do you think Takashi Hoshi's skills don't consume energy? Even if he has enough astral energy, he shouldn't have enough spiritual energy, right? Regarding this point, Wang Lan suddenly realized that he was really different from others. As long as he had enough astral energy, he could continue fighting. As for the consumption of spiritual energy, there was no such thing as spiritual energy consumption in his memory. If that's the case, then forget it. Uncle Xiao, you don't have to force yourself. I'll be the main attacker, and you'll cover me. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Lan's figure flashed, charging towards the front lines where the exotic beasts were charging from. What the hell? You want to keep all of them? Wasn't it enough that you slaughtered 100,000 exotic beasts last time? Although Xiao Shan was complaining, at the same time, he was stimulated by Wang Lan's words and instantly became spirited. What kind of magnificent feat would it be to slaughter all the mutated beasts in the future? Heaven and earth millstone, comet descending from the heavens, landslide and earth rend. Wang Lan's figure flashed between the various front lines. Whenever he arrived, he would throw out an S-rank Takashi Hoshi skill and turn around to run. Every S-rank Takashi Hoshi skill was destined to take the lives of thousands or even tens of thousands of exotic beasts. Gradually, Commander Han Yu suddenly realized that there was nothing for him to do. Just by relying on Wang Lan and Xiao Shan's tacit cooperation, the exotic beasts were gradually pushed out of the front lines. Within the advantageous terrain that Xiao Shan had created, there seemed to be no more exotic beasts of any size. The only value of the Wasteland Reclamation Team seemed to be to deal with a few isolated exotic beasts. This battle lasted from morning to afternoon. Wang Lan didn't even know how many soul orbs he had replenished and how many S-rank Takashi Hoshi skills he had used. Wang Lan only knew that he had gained another 70 to 80,000 skill points in just one day. The beast horde this time had yet to end, so the experience and skill points from killing the exotic beasts had yet to be calculated. Naturally, these 70 to 80,000 skill points came from absorbing 70 to 80,000 soul orbs. Absorbing 70 to 80,000 soul orbs meant killing more than 2 to 300,000 exotic beasts. Gradually, the exotic beasts in the beast horde became sparse. It seemed like the beast horde had ended. However, Wang Lan and Xiao Shan's expressions didn't relax in the slightest. Instead, they became even more solemn. A beast horde of this scale would definitely have titled rank exotic beasts. The fact that the number of cannon fodder exotic beasts had decreased only proved one thing. Powerful exotic beasts were coming. Screech! Suddenly, a loud and clear cry rang out. The sharp screech pierced everyone's eardrums like a steel needle. All the Takashi Hoshi with a lower cultivation fell to the ground, covering their ears. It's here, Xiao Shan suddenly shouted. Boom! The chaotic fog in the distance suddenly exploded. A huge figure broke through the fog and rose into the sky. It was a huge golden eagle with a wingspan of more than 30 meters. It was between a huge exotic beast and an ordinary exotic beast. The golden eagle flapped its wings. Suddenly, lightning flashed around its body. In an instant, it flapped its wings. Countless lightning balls shot down from its flapping wings. Evil creature, you're courting death. Wanglan's back instantly turned into a pair of wings and rushed into the sky. Although the lightning balls were shooting down, Xiao Shan was still below. He could definitely block this wave of attacks. As expected, Xiao Shan instantly moved. A huge stone umbrella rose above everyone's head. The lightning balls landed on the stone umbrella. Although the stone umbrella was shattered, it didn't hurt the explorers who were hiding under the stone umbrella. Wanglan spread his wings and rushed toward the golden eagle. The golden eagle gave Wanglan a human-like look of disdain. With a slight flap of its wings, its body instantly disappeared like a stream of light. Fast. It was faster than Wanglan's speed limit. At this moment, Wanglan finally understood the meaning of the golden eagle's disdain when it saw Wanglan rushing over. This was the king of the sky's disdain for other flying creatures. Disdain? You think you're worthy? Phoenix form, open, chirp. A resonant phoenix cry rang out from Wanglan's mouth. In an instant, the flames around Wanglan's body once again turned into a multicolored phoenix, spreading its wings. The phoenix was the king of birds, the overlord of the sky. Although Wanglan hadn't completely cultivated the phoenix form, he had already grasped the phoenix's flying ability. With a light flap of its wings, the phoenix bathed in flames chased after the golden eagle. The golden eagle already felt a terrifying pressure when the phoenix cry rang out. When it turned around and saw such a gorgeous bird, it immediately felt that its position as the king was being challenged like never before. It drew a circle in the sky and suddenly turned into a thunderous roar as it rushed toward Wanglan. Opening its mouth, a bolt of lightning shot out from the golden eagle's mouth towards the phoenix. Wanglan sneered. A light formation formed at the phoenix's beak, and a huge sacred shield appeared. The lightning hit the sacred shield and bounced off instantly. Seeing that its attack missed, the golden eagle's wings flashed with the power of wind and thunder. Its body turned into the shape of a bullet and rushed toward Wanglan, intending to fight hand-to-hand. Before Wanglan broke through to the Starsea realm, he wasn't afraid of fighting with a titled expert, let alone now. He didn't know where the golden eagle got its courage from, actually daring to fight in the air with the phoenix form. The golden eagle's power of wind and thunder was indeed very fast, but in the face of the multicolored phoenix form with 9 fused attributes, the golden eagle's speed was simply not enough. Easily avoiding the golden eagle's sharp claws, the phoenix flashed above the golden eagle and spat out a mouthful of true samadhi fire. Boom! This attack was unexpected. The golden eagle didn't understand how Wanglan appeared above it, so the true samadhi fire was spat out. Flames? Hee. After the golden eagle broke away from the phoenix's entanglement, it looked back at the burning flames behind it and showed a disdainful look. Only low-level exotic beasts would use such a low-level Takashi Hoshi technique. You, who look so pretty, only know how to spit fire. And in Wanglan's eyes, the golden eagle that was hit by the true samadhi fire was almost a death sentence. At the same time, 2 giant beasts rushed out of the chaotic fog. One was a giant ape that was over 150 meters tall, and the other was a giant green-furred lion. George hurriedly put his palms together. Accompanied by a tremor, a mountain gradually rolled over and stood up slowly, turning into a giant stone man. Seeing the stone man appear, the giant ape beast suddenly burned with flames and pounded its chest as it rushed toward the stone man. Damn it! I'm fighting 2 alone. Uncle George, leave that lion to me. The moment Wanglan's voice sounded, he had already appeared beside George Shan. Don't mess around. Take care of that bird from Sky Mountain first. Otherwise, we'll be at a disadvantage in this battle. That bird is dead for sure. Don't talk nonsense. You only spat out a small flame. Suddenly, George Shan's voice paused. The golden eagle in the sky also let out a loud and clear cry at this moment. It realized that no matter how fast it moved or rolled, it could not extinguish the flames on its back. And this flame was spreading rapidly, burning its body at an alarming rate. In just a few breaths, the golden eagle was engulfed by the flames, completely turning into a firebird. If not for the lack of a long tail on its back, the golden eagle bathed in flames would look very much like a fire phoenix. Suddenly, the golden eagle let out a shrill cry and then fell to the sky, smashing the ground and shaking the mountains. Damn, what kind of flame is this? It's so powerful. True Samadhi fire. It's hopeless if it touches even a little bit. I'll go first. Wang Lan growled and rushed toward the green-furred lion in an instant. Perhaps the lion saw that the golden eagle was killed so quickly because it underestimated its opponent, or perhaps it instinctively felt that Wang Lan was in danger. In an instant, flames gushed out from its body, and with a bang, a huge red steam wave gushed out, turning Wang Lan's vision into a bright red color. The terrifying air wave was like a pump, quickly extracting the moisture in the air and then evaporating it due to the scorching temperature. This was the burning attribute of Takashi Hoshi's skill, and it was also a new attribute that Jiang Xinyu had studied before. The powerful steam explosion carried a terrible shock wave, and Wang Lan's figure was unable to maintain the momentum in an instant. In an instant, his figure exploded and the hell butterfly flashed. A hell butterfly crossed the distance of 100 meters and suddenly appeared in front of the lion. The figure flashed, and Wang Lan appeared in an instant, and the 15-meter-long Zanpakuto slashed at the lion's head. Suddenly, the lion's body twisted and disappeared in an instant. When it reappeared, the lion was already behind Wang Lan. It opened its mouth, and the red heat swallowed Wang Lan along with the terrifying water absorption. Chapter 490. What a fast movement speed! Wang Lan thought with a solemn expression. At the same time, he propped up the divine shield to prevent the loss of water in his body. This lion's attribute was not only scorching, but also thunder and fire attributes. In a flash, Wang Lan turned into a butterfly and scattered, and the butterfly danced and instantly surrounded the lion. At this moment, the earth shook behind him. The huge stone man, controlled by George, was already fighting with the huge gorilla. But obviously, the stone man was no match for the silverback gorilla. Whether it was strength or physical strength, it was crushed by the silverback gorilla. The stone man punched the silverback gorilla and forced the silverback gorilla to take 2 steps back, but the silverback gorilla could smash the stone man with one punch. If it weren't for the stone man's self-healing ability, it would have been smashed into a pile of slag. At this moment, Wang Lan didn't care about the silverback gorilla and instantly appeared in the void, and the 20-meter-long Zanpakuto slashed down fiercely. This time, the indigo lion couldn't dodge and was hit by Wang Lan's sword. The huge lion's head slowly fell from its neck. The wound on his neck was blood-red like boiling lava. Seeing this scene, Wang Lan's expression changed and instantly appeared in another place. At the same time, a beam of extremely hot light suddenly shot over. Almost at the same instant, Wang Lan disappeared. The falling lion's head suddenly turned into lava and merged into the lion's body, and in the blink of an eye, the lion turned into lava. Then, he appeared in front of Wang Lan, unharmed. Elementization was the greatest strength enhancement for a Takashi Hoshi of the Star Sea Realm. A Takashi Hoshi of the Star Sea Realm could be immune to most physical attacks as long as they could master elementization. But the Zanpakuto was not a pure physical attack. The Zanpakuto was an existence that could cut the soul. It wasn't that he had never fought a Star Sea Realm who had elementized before, and as long as they were hit by the Zanpakuto, they would instantly lose the ability to resist. But this lion was immune to the Zanpakuto, unless it had no soul. As Wang Lan thought of this, his figure flashed, and the sword of light in his hand was placed horizontally in front of him. Suddenly, Wang Lan's body flashed with blue light, and the phoenix emblem on Wang Lan's body turned azure as if it was soaked in blue ink. On his arm, a violet-like pattern quickly appeared and spread around Wang Lan's body. Wang Lan's right hand, which was holding the sword, suddenly released a blue flame. The flame was light and graceful, as if a ghost was dancing. Wang Lan's eyes also became strange and soft. His figure flashed, and he disappeared in an instant. When he reappeared, Wang Lan floated to the head of the green-furred lion like a gust of wind and viciously stabbed down with his blade. The Zampicudo, wrapped in blue flames, instantly sank into the head of the azure lion. The green-furred lion violently shook its head, and Wang Lan was instantly flung away by a powerful force. The Zampicudo was still on the head of the green-furred lion, but this was not a problem for Wang Lan. With a wave of his hand, the Zampicudo returned to Wang Lan's hand again. The lion behind him roared as if nothing had happened, and its eyes were staring at Wang Lan. Sure enough, even the netherworld ghost fire is immune. This beast has no soul, Wang Lan concluded in his heart. At this moment, the silverback gorilla smashed the stone man violently with a punch, just in time to see Wang Lan flash in the void and grabbed Wang Lan. Wang Lan's figure flashed and instantly appeared behind the silverback gorilla. The sword of light in his hand turned into a 20-meter-long sword aura, and he slashed at the silverback gorilla's back. Gee, the great Yang sword art only cultivates one sword aura, which is the sharpest weapon in the world. Its sharpness is far beyond the ordinary Takashi Hoshi technique. The silverback gorilla originally had the three attributes of metal, earth, and fire. Its attacks were all stacked on its fists, and its defense was all stacked on its skin. Even a titled strong warrior of the wind attribute may not be able to break the silverback gorilla's defense with one blow. But its copper skin and iron bones were easily cut open by Wang Lan's great Yang sword art, as if it were paper. A long wound on its back was cut open, and its skin and flesh were exposed. The silverback gorilla was stunned for half a second, and suddenly its eyes turned red. Perhaps, since it had not suffered any losses or injuries since it appeared, it could not accept being cut in the back like this. The existence of the green-furred lion was a bit strange, but the silverback gorilla was not so strange. Judging from the level of the astral power fluctuations, the silverback gorilla and the green-furred lion were of the same level, but the silverback gorilla obviously could not elementalize. For the silverback gorilla's innate ability, its invincible defense did not require elementalization at all. Therefore, it was wounded by Wang Lan. Wasn't taking advantage of the enemy's weakness the ideological awareness of Wang Lan's generation? Since they did not know what kind of existence the green-furred lion was, why not give the silverback gorilla a try? In an instant, Wang Lan reached out his hand, and a ball of blue flame sprang out from his palm. While the silverback gorilla was still frantically looking for Wang Lan, Ding Hao pressed his palm on the silverback gorilla's wound. The netherworld ghost fire would spread according to the guidance of the soul. The silverback gorilla that was touched by the netherworld ghost fire suddenly burst into blue flames. In the blink of an eye, the silverback gorilla was rolling in the battlefield like a huge torch. This process seemed complicated, but in fact, it happened within a second. The moment the silverback gorilla was sneakily attacked by the netherworld ghost fire, the green-furred lion had just locked onto Wang Lan and was biting at Wang Lan with its huge mouth. Since the netherworld ghost fire can't hurt you, can you stop the power of the true Samadhi fire? He mobilized the astral power around him and ran it according to the incantation. The moment the lion's mouth was about to swallow the world, Wang Lan suddenly spat out a ball of flame. The bright red flame instantly rushed into the green-furred lion's mouth. The feeling of being swallowed by the world disappeared in an instant. The green-furred lion in front of him roared at the sky, and the flame in its mouth burned brightly. In the blink of an eye, one of the two beasts, who had been insufferably arrogant a moment ago, was rolling on the ground, and the other was spitting fire at the sky as if it had eaten a demon pepper. In the eyes of Yuan Shiyu and the others, this scene was normal. Anyway, they couldn't understand it. It didn't matter if they didn't understand. They could just shout 666. But Xiaoshan understood very well why this battle changed so quickly. 1 second, they couldn't find a way to restrain the two beasts, and the next second, they were almost dead. Wang Lan had too many attacking methods. He had a saber for close combat, but the problem was that the saber was not an ordinary saber, but an indestructible saber. He knew the silverback gorilla's defensive power. It could be said that it was impregnable and indestructible. However, Wang Lan's saber could cut open the gorilla's skin and flesh with a light slash. Who could block such a saber? With his fighting style alone, Wang Lan could be ranked at the top. But in the blink of an eye, Wang Lan displayed two completely different flames. Although Xiao Shan didn't know what these two flames were, he could clearly feel the power of laws emanating from the flames. It was very difficult for a titled expert to have a powerful fighting style. When one's strength was limited, one's energy was limited. To push a fighting style to the top required a genius to spend his whole life doing so. Wang Lan actually had a backup. If this one didn't work, why not change it? It was like everyone had a different Dao. Your Dao wasn't my Dao. You could understand my Dao, but you couldn't learn it. Take Xiao Shan, for example. In the current situation, he was controlling the stone golems to fight the silverback star. Didn't he know that he could use the lava stone golems? Didn't he know that he could use wind cut and fire extinguish? He knew, but he couldn't do it because Xiao Shan could only exert the earth element Takashi Hoshi to the extreme in his life. If he studied other things, he would never be able to reach his current level. Therefore, at this moment, Xiao Shan couldn't understand. How did this Wang Lan do it? How did he reach a level at such a young age that they couldn't reach after decades of hard work? Was it purely talent? But which one of those who could become a titled expert wasn't talented? Not only did he have an indestructible saber, but he also had a fire that could burn everything. Although the true Samadhi fire and the netherworld ghost fire only appeared as red and blue flames, Xiao Shan understood that if he touched even the slightest spark, he would still end up dead. The silverback gorilla had completely turned into a blue torch. Its body could no longer struggle crazily and fell to the ground, struggling at death's door. The blue flames on its body were still burning vigorously, but after burning for so long, there wasn't a single wound on its body. This scene made Ma Shiyu and the other wasteland reclaimers suck in a breath of cold air. What kind of flames are these? Blue flames? The temperature should be above 3,000 degrees, right? This is a blind spot in my knowledge. These definitely aren't ordinary blue flames. Can a flame of 3,000 degrees burn an exotic beast with the strength of a titled expert to death? Indeed, these blue flames are a little strange. Why do I feel like there's a ghost face inside the flames? Damn, I thought I was the only one who had this feeling. It turns out that you have it too, right? Old Village Head. Where's Old Village Head? Isn't he known as the 10,000-year nebula? He's been the personal guard of more than 10 experts in his life. Old Village Head. Aren't you usually the most talkative? Why don't you talk about what kind of flames Wang Lan is using? Old Man's son stroked his chin solemnly, a thoughtful look in his eyes. I've never seen this kind of flame before, but I'm sure it's not an ordinary high-temperature flame. But there isn't a single wound on my body after being burned. This reminds me of something. What is it? Old Village Head, you don't really know the origin of this flame, do you? That was when I was young. My grandfather was also a titled expert back then. There was one time when he was out on a mission, but he died in the end. His teammates all said that he was burned alive, but there wasn't a single burn on his body. Later, the military sent out 2 experts, Old D and Old CI, to continue investigating and finally caught the murderer. The murderer was a citizen of White Eagle, codenamed Undead Knight. You're saying that Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi is the same as that Undead Knight's. The pioneers around him were all stunned by the Old Village Head's words and asked in unison. That's impossible. That Undead Knight's Takashi Hoshi is his innate ability. I remember it very clearly. At that time, the military elder in charge of this matter finally told me that my grandfather died under the netherworld ghost flame. This netherworld ghost flame is completely blue. It doesn't burn anything in the world, it only burns the soul. As long as you touch it a little, you're finished. My grandfather was careless and thought that it was just an ordinary blue flame. That's why he fell for it. So it's like that. It only burns the soul. Then even the 5 emperors can't touch it? That's basically the case. Once you're touched by the netherworld ghost flame, you'll definitely die unless you sever your own soul. Hearing the old village head's words, Wang Lan finally had an answer to this mysterious flame. However, another question popped up. How strong is Wang Lan? How strong is Wang Lan? Even Xiao Shan didn't know this question. It seemed that up until now, Wang Lan had used different methods every time he attacked. His combat strength seemed to have no limit. Chapter 491. At that moment, Wang Lan spat out a mouthful of true samadhi fire at the lion, causing it to scratch its face in pain. Even Wang Lan shuddered at the sight of his ferocious attacks. With one swipe of its claw, the lion's entire face was badly mutilated. How could the true samadhi fire be extinguished so easily? Not only did the true samadhi fire on the lion's face not extinguish, it even burned its claws. The lion roared, and its entire body instantly turned into a fiery red glaze. The latter half of the body seemed to have been cut off, turning into flowing lava that fell down. The remaining half of the body wriggled and quickly grew into a brand new lion, but this lion was much smaller than the previous one. The lower half of its body that had turned into lava was still being burned by the true samadhi fire. The lion revealed a fearful look at Wang Lan and roared. Wang Lan saw that the lion was so ruthless, cutting off half of its body to survive. I don't believe that you can survive a few more times with a short tail. In an instant, he rushed towards the lion in a flash. The lion was really afraid of Wang Lan. It instantly flashed, turned around, and rushed towards the chaotic fog outside. It actually ran away. Wang Lan hesitated slightly. Since I'm here, it's better to stay and set up a monument. He instantly activated the dance of the hell butterfly to give chase. Boom! Suddenly, a white light rushed out from the chaotic fog and swallowed the lion in an instant. The white light didn't slow down and instantly engulfed Wang Lan's body in the white light. Fortunately, Wang Lan had already activated the dance of the hell butterfly. Otherwise, with the terrifying speed of the white light, Wang Lan would not be able to defend against it. Boom, boom, boom. A column of smoke rose from the defensive line created by Xiao Shan. Wherever the white light went, the mountains instantly melted and turned into ashes. This column of light instantly pierced through the defensive line that stretched for 10 kilometers. Wang Lan's expression changed drastically, and he appeared beside Xiao Shan in a flash. He stared at the chaotic fog with a grave expression, while Xiao Shan's face suddenly turned pale. The chaos mist rippled intensely as an enormous figure stepped out of the mist. If the appearance of exotic beasts could be casually drawn by an artisan, then this new exotic beast that was over 300 meters tall was a face that the artisan had meticulously designed, filled with beauty. Its body was red and silver, and it looked like a huge lion. However, this lion had a pair of snow-white wings on its back. The beast's body was covered with floating emblems, which emitted a thick and dense aura. As he slowly walked out of the fog, a mountain-like aura gushed out. In an instant, Wang Lan's heartstrings tightened. This exotic beast was very strong. Even though they had yet to truly fight, Wang Lan could feel the terrifying strength of the exotic beast from its aura. Deep abyss, a slightly trembling voice came from beside him. Even though George was a titled battle pet warrior, his eyes were fixed on the strange beast that was walking out of the fog with graceful steps as it walked over. Uncle Xiao, is it necessary to scare you to this extent? Where's your confidence as an expert? What do you know? This is the abyss. This is an abyss exotic beast. George suppressed his voice and roared in a low voice. Wang Lan, take the men and retreat. I'll think of a way to delay it for a while. What abyss? How strong is it? Wang Lan's expression instantly turned serious as he asked in a low voice. Abyss means unfathomable. If the two from before can only be matched by titled battle pet warriors, then only the 5 emperors can fight against the abyss exotic beast. Abyss exotic beasts are the absolute masters of open space. Abyss exotic beasts rarely appear. They usually stay in their own territories. I didn't expect an abyss exotic beast to appear and attack human territory. Wang Lan, I know you're very strong, but against an abyss exotic beast, you'll definitely die. Hurry up and retreat with the command center. With the appearance of an abyss exotic beast, the situation is completely out of our control. Take the men and retreat, then immediately notify the command center and ask them to ask the 5 emperors for support. Uncle George, you should retreat, no matter how you look at it. My fighting style is a bit more flexible than yours, Wang Lan said without even turning his head. Stop trying to be a hero. I've encountered abyss exotic beasts no less than 5 times. Do you have any experience surviving in the hands of an abyss exotic beast? Go, I'll buy you time. Saying this, George suddenly clasped his hands together. Mahamudra, boom! Suddenly, 2 pieces of ground in the distance strangely rose. They turned into 2 semicircles and fiercely clamped down on the abyss exotic beast. Both semicircles were more than 1 kilometer in diameter and weighed more than 100 million tons. The abyss exotic beast suddenly opened its mouth and let out a low, bestial roar. Space rippled slightly. The 2 pieces of ground that were clamping down on them were instantly frozen by this ripple. In almost an instant, George's face turned as white as paper. The 2 semicircles that had been frozen suddenly turned gray, then turned into powder and fell to the ground like dried flour. This made Wang Lan's scalp tingle. The 2 huge semicircles were each more than 1 kilometer in diameter. Even track and field athlete would need to run for half a day. Such a huge semicircle that was like a mountain peak actually turned into powder in an instant. Even a Lotus Emperor might not be able to do that. Boom! Suddenly, another ripple appeared on the lion's body. This ripple could be seen with the naked eye as it instantly swept towards Wang Lan and George's location. Wang Lan had no time to hesitate and immediately raised the holy shield. Smoke and dust filled the sky. The huge mountain range that George had created actually quickly collapsed in the ripple and was annihilated. The exotic beast seemed to have only exhaled a breath, and the mountain range that stretched for 10 kilometers melted like sand sculptures on the beach being washed by the waves. Wah! George suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body instantly flew backward. Uncle George! Wang Lan's expression changed, and the holy shield in front of him suddenly cracked. Wang Lan finally knew the extent of the attack that George had withstood. Takeshi Hoshi's holy shield, which was known as the strongest single-target defense, was upgraded to platinum by Wang Lan. Its defense could even withstand an attack from the 5 emperors. However, it had now shattered without even knowing what kind of attack it had withstood. Boom! The holy shield shattered, and Wang Lan's body instantly flew backward. Wang Lan hurriedly mobilized his astral power, and his body instantly turned into butterflies that danced in the air. As the butterflies danced, a hell butterfly appeared next to George, grabbed him, and flashed away. Its body turned into a stream of light as it rushed toward the defense line at the back. The defense line that George had created could not stop this abyssal exotic beast at all. After the 2 of them appeared, Yuan Shiyu hurried over. Master Wang Lan, Master Earthwalker, what kind of exotic beast is this? How can it be so powerful? Yuan Shiyu looked at the exotic beast that was constantly approaching in despair. Previously, even when hundreds of thousands of exotic beasts attacked the defense line, they did not suffer any casualties. However, with just 1 ripple from this exotic beast, Yuan Shiyu clearly saw at least 10 Wasteland Reclaimer legions fly back and disappear. Those were not small legions with only a few people. Those were medium-sized legions with at least 50 people. With just 1 attack, thousands of brothers were killed just like that. Not even a corpse was left. This is an abyssal beast. Hurry up and leave. Wang Lan, cover our retreat. Leave him to me. Forget it, Uncle George. Can you still cover the retreat in your current state? White light rose around Wang Lan, and a life chain linked to George. I have to cover the retreat Even if I can't, even if I have to risk my life, I can block it for 10 minutes. You only have 10 minutes to retreat. I'll cover the retreat for you. Wang Lan stood up and slowly drew his Zanpakuto. His eyes were extremely deep. Ever since Wang Lan had advanced to the Starsea realm, Wang Lan suddenly had a feeling. His Zanpakuto can now be solved. The power of the Zanpakuto's Bankai is not on the same level as the Shurkai. I hope that the Bankai's Zanpakuto won't disappoint me too much. Wang Lan, do you still not understand? You're a titled expert, and I'm also a titled expert. But I'm already the sun that's setting, and you're just rising. At this point, I'm already at my limit, but you're just starting. I can die here, but you can't. Who lives and who dies is not just between you and me. This time, George roared at Wang Lan angrily. He no longer hinted at it, but directly stated it. This is Jade State's business. If you survive, Jade State will become stronger because of you. 5 years later, 10 years later, you'll grow into a towering tree, holding up the sky of Jade State and protecting the young people of Jade State. But I can't do it. 10 years later, or even 20 years later, I'll still be like this. So, whether it's for myself or the Jade State, I must be the one to buy time for you to retreat. It's coming. Hurry up and retreat. Wang Lan, remember this. You're a warrior of the Jade State. George's body was surrounded by strong waves of astral power. At this moment, George must be a majestic figure in the eyes of outsiders. At the very least, all the surviving wasteland reclaimers looked at George with reverence. Wang Lan also respected him, but Wang Lan had other options. He patted George's shoulder gently. This is a single-choice question in your eyes. Either you die, or I die. But in my eyes, it's a multiple-choice question. What do you mean? Your life, my life, and the lives of the brothers behind me. I'll take them all. Wang Lan seemed to have used up all his strength to shout the last 3 words. In an instant, Wang Lan turned into a stream of light and rushed toward the beast. F***CK. George didn't expect Wang Lan to do this. He beat his chest and stomped his feet in anger. Wasn't this courting death? That was a beast of the abyss that could fight evenly with the 5 emperors. Extremely hot ray. Wang Lan instantly blasted out an extremely hot ray with a temperature of 60,000 degrees. Faced with the extremely hot ray, the beast of the abyss finally stopped. If it had been strolling leisurely and full of disdain for the world before, then at this moment, there was an ant in its huge eyes, an ant that it could lift its claw for a moment. It lifted its claw gently, and a destructive wave spread out from it. In the destructive wave, the extremely hot ray of tens of thousands of degrees seemed to have hit an invisible barrier and stopped. The beast of the abyss raised its head. There was a human-like sneer in its scarlet eyes, as if to say, "Do you have more? Try again." Although he knew that the beast of the abyss was powerful, he didn't expect that the extremely hot ray of light would be blocked so easily. If the extremely hot ray of light could be blocked, then the star god arrow could also be blocked. And with such a powerful barrier around the beast of the abyss, even if Wang Lan used the true Samadhi fire and the netherworld ghost flame, he wouldn't be able to make a single spark on it. Chapter 492. Bankai, Judgment of Light. As Wang Lan's voice fell, the sword of light in his hand instantly exploded with a boom. The star power around Wang Lan suddenly boiled, and a gorgeous flame soared into the sky. The phoenix phantasm surrounding Wang Lan was instantly magnified 10 times, and the size of the phoenix phantasm was already larger than the abyssal beast in front of it. The abyssal beast suddenly tensed up and looked at the huge phoenix above its head warily. The sword of light instantly turned into stars all over the sky. One should know that there would be no obvious day and night in the reclaimer space, so naturally there would be no sun, moon, or stars. But at this moment, the world after Bankai was strangely filled with the sun, moon, and stars. Suddenly, a white light gathered from the sky and turned into a huge flying sword that was like a planet from outer space. The sword body was bright, like the moon, like the sun. The heavenly sword fell from the sky, seemingly slow, but as fast as lightning. Boom! With a loud bang, the entire space suddenly became distorted and rippled, and countless space cracks were shaken out in the distortion, and space fragments fell like glass shards. The abyssal beast's ripples were aimed at the flying sword piercing the sky, and the destructive ripples that annihilated everything could not destroy the judgment of Heavenly Sword at all. The Heavenly Sword still pierced in inch by inch, breaking the defense of the abyssal beast inch by inch. Roar! With a loud bang, it was earth-shattering. The Heavenly Sword finally pierced through the abyssal beast's defense and ruthlessly stabbed into the abyssal beast's back. Roar! The abyssal beast instantly looked up to the sky and roared in pain, and the sound waves were like thunder, spreading throughout the reclaimer space. And at this moment, Wang Lan instantly moved. His feet were like flowing light, as if he was stepping on a rainbow bridge, and instantly disappeared, and appeared on the Heavenly Sword in the blink of an eye. His palm instantly grasped the hilt of the Heavenly Sword, and the 5 extreme fire arts technique was instantly activated. Netherworld Ghost Fire Burn. The Heavenly Sword that was originally emitting moonlight suddenly emerged with a blue and white light, and with the Soul Slasher as a conductor. The Netherworld Ghost Fire instantly invaded the abyssal beast's body. Roar! The abyssal beast roared here, and ripples visible to the naked eye swept over. Wang Lan hurriedly hid behind Sky Sword. Since Sky's sword could survive the abyssal behemoth's destructive ripples, it could naturally act as a shield against the destructive ripples. As expected, the destructive ripples were unable to bypass the Sword of Light and cause damage to Wang Lan. However, the powerful impact forced the Heavenly Sword out of the abyssal beast's back. Wang Lan, together with the Light of Judgment, was sent flying into the void. Void Amethyst's eyes opened. In an instant, a purple light burst out from Wang Lan's eyes. The light extended more than 3 feet out of his eye sockets. Space God Arrow, his right hand pointed to the ground, aiming at the weak spot on the back of the giant abyss beast. Samadhi True Fire Arrow. The arrow of the astral god Arrow could be an arrow condensed from pure astral power, or it could be imbued with various attributes. If it was imbued with the ice element, it would be a frost arrow. If it was imbued with the lava element, it would be a lava arrow. If it was imbued with the true Samadhi fire, it would be a killing arrow. Go! The starry sky god Arrow instantly exploded into a cloud of clouds, and clear ripples spread out the moment the arrow was shot out. This arrow seemed to pass through space after space and instantly landed on the abyssal beast's back. Chi! The arrow entered the back of the giant abyss beast, where the wound was still bleeding. The body of the giant abyss beast suddenly stiffened, and the corpse face covered in green hair instantly turned pale, as if the color had faded. The giant abyss beast suddenly looked up to the sky, and a terrifying roar soared into the sky. Suddenly, the giant abyss beast turned around instantly, and regardless of the netherworld ghost flames burning around its body or the bright red Samadhi true fire, it rushed into the chaotic fog and disappeared. It ran away. Wang Lan's wave of attack was really too sharp. From the Bankai to the space god Arrow, it only took 3 seconds. 3 seconds might not even be enough time for others to release a Takashi Hoshi technique. However, the insufferably arrogant giant abyss beast actually ran away under Wang Lan's 3 attacks. A young man in the early stage of the Star Sea realm actually beat the giant abyss beast away. How asterisk up was this? Was the sacrifice he had made just now so laughable in the face of this scene before him? Xiao Shan recalled what Wang Lan had said before. When encountering the giant abyss beast, Xiao Shan was considering who to sacrifice to protect the greatest interests of the Jade State. However, Wang Lan was thinking that he wanted all of them. No one needed to die, as long as they defeated the giant abyss beast. This choice, it seemed, was really not that difficult. Bulsh asterisk T. Xiaoshan suddenly felt that the whole world had gone crazy. The giant abyss beast, a powerful existence that even the 5 emperors might not dare to say they could defeat, was actually beaten away? Could it be any more exaggerated? Congratulations to the host for successfully resisting a beast tide. The reward is 1 million experience points and 200,000 skill points. Congratulations to the host for killing 300,000 exotic beasts. The reward is 10 million experience points and 1 million skill points. The 2 messages sounded in his mind at the same time. Wang Lan was so happy that he wanted to roar to the sky on the spot. From Star C1 to Star C2, he needed 20 million experience points. It had only been a few days, and he had already obtained 10 million experience points in 4 or 5 days. He originally thought that leveling up in the Star C realm would be very slow, but now it seemed that it was not that slow. As long as there were enough beast tides, Wang Lan felt that his leveling speed would not be slower than when he was in the Star Sea realm. No wonder the senior said that after the 3rd year of college, one's strength would increase explosively. In the 3rd year of college, one's strength would at least double, and it would be a period of rapid growth until graduation. So this was what this growth was all about. Previously, when Jiang Xinyu went on a trip with the senior, she directly increased from the peak of the Nebula realm to the middle stage of the Galaxy realm. Now, she had increased to the point where she could break through to the Star Sea realm at any time. Although the biggest contribution was that she had obtained the Immortal Cloud Profound Verdant Records Qi Cultivation Chapter, and most of the soul orbs that Wang Lan had obtained were given to Jiang Xinyu to break through. Without a large number of exotic beasts for her to farm, Jiang Xinyu absolutely could not have advanced so quickly. Although Jiang Xinyu seemed to be obscure now, that was because she had been overshadowed by Wang Lan's brilliance. If one really wanted to compare, Jiang Xinyu was 1 month younger than Wang Lan. Wang Lan had broken through to the Star Sea realm less than 5 days ago. If Jiang Xinyu had broken through in these few days, Wang Lan's record, which had just been broken by Yuryun, would have been broken by Jiang Xinyu. In this way, the number 1 genius did not seem to be Yuryun or Wang Lan, but Jiang Xinyu. With the implementation of the Immortal Cloud Profound Verdant Record, the Jade State's Takashi Hoshi would enter a golden age. In the future, this record would be constantly refreshed. A 12-year-old nebula, a 16-year-old galaxy realm, and even an 18-year-old Star Sea realm breakthrough would no longer be a dream. He heaved a long sigh of relief and slowly turned around. Suddenly, Wang Lan felt fanatical gazes on him. Hu Jinyu and the other members of the Wasteland Reclamation team were looking at him with such fanatical gazes, as if they had seen their religion. Although his name had shaken the entire Wasteland Reclamation space, many people still did not dare to believe it. After all, one person slaughtering 100,000 exotic beasts was too frightening. Even the 3 great titled experts could not do it unless they joined forces. Moreover, Wang Lan's age and Takashi Hoshi's level were too deceptive. Even Xiao Shan had thought that Wang Lan was not strong enough to be called a titled expert before Wang Lan made a move, let alone others. But what had they seen just now? The beast tide this time was not 100,000 exotic beasts, but hundreds of thousands. Even with the help of the Groundwalker, everyone could see that the Groundwalker's killing efficiency could not be compared to Wang Lan's. Of the 500,000 exotic beasts, at least 400,000 had been killed by Wang Lan, especially the Heaven and Earth Millstone, Lava Mountain Flood, and other Takashi Hoshi skills, which made people's scalps tingle. Even now, when they recalled that scene, they were still so excited that they could not control themselves. What kind of strength and battle awareness did he have to be able to use a combination of S-rank Takashi Hoshi skills to turn 100,000 exotic beasts into ashes in an instant? In any case, Wang Lan had completely cleared his name with this battle. From now on, no one would doubt Wang Lan's strength. Titled Greedy Wolf, his strength could not be refuted. In the command center, Shun Xiaowu listened to the latest battle reports from the titled experts at the front line with a grave expression. In the south, the beast tide was attacking the defense line. But with two titled battle pet warriors on guard, the front line was temporarily stable. There were about 100,000 exotic beasts. With the help of the terrain, the situation could be stabilized. In the southwest, perhaps because the previous beast tide had beaten the exotic beasts too hard, or perhaps because none of the exotic beasts had returned, the exotic beast territory was largely empty. Therefore, the beast tide did not appear. In the north, the beast tide had not yet begun, but it seemed that they were ready to move. They might need reinforcements at any time. But in the west, Wanglan and the ground walker should have arrived there by now. However, the hummingbird's communication wasp had not sent back any information. This made Shun Xiaowu's heart sink. Every time El Niño appeared, it was a major disaster. Shun Xiaowu had a bad premonition that there was no news from the western defense line. Commander-in-Chief, emergency communication from the northwest. The hummingbird suddenly shouted. Takashi Hoshi's skill flashed, and a large, illusory bee appeared at his fingertip. Commander-in-Chief, just now, I personally led an investigation team to investigate the fog of chaos and found that the number of exotic beasts in the fog is surprisingly low. Many of the exotic beasts have migrated, but the exotic beasts are still acting as if they are going to attack at any time. I suspect that this El Niño is secretly controlled by an intelligent exotic beast. After that, I immediately conducted an in-depth investigation. In the end, I found that the exotic beasts are gathering their numbers to attack one of the 5 regions. Commander-in-Chief, please contact the other 4 regions immediately to determine where the exotic beasts are attacking and arrange for reinforcements in time. The exotic beasts are gathering their attacks at one point. Shun Xiaowu stood up and went to the map. Sent a message to the other 4 regions. Commander-in-Chief, the exotic beasts in the south are retreating. Their numbers have decreased. In the north, the exotic beasts are decreasing. Southwest, there are still no signs of a beast tide in the southwest. West, there's still no reply from the west. Shun Xiaowu furrowed his brows tightly. Suddenly, he slapped his palm towards the west. The exotic beasts are going to attack the west. The previous wave of exotic beasts has already revealed the results. The western defensive line is the easiest to break through. They must attack the west. Commander-in-Chief, the Western Region's regional headquarters correspondent has returned. He said that a large number of exotic beasts are attacking the west. There are more than 500,000 of them, and there are abyssal exotic beasts requesting reinforcements. Chapter 493. What? Shin Xiaowu looked at the correspondent in a daze, his pupils dilating. 500,000 exotic beasts attacking an area that was already difficult to defend. What kind of scene would that be? Perhaps it would be a one-sided massacre? An abyss-level exotic beast would appear? Shun Xiaowu was very clear that the appearance of abyss-level exotic beasts would be accompanied by 4 to 5 tidal beasts. Even if he didn't see the outcome with his own eyes, Shun Xiaowu could guess it. The western region would be completely defeated, and then the entire Cloud Sea would be defeated. The best result would be 10 years of hard work going down the drain, and the space opened up by the human reclaimers would be reduced by a third. Immediately, Shun Xiaowu came back to his senses. This wasn't the time to be shocked. He had to make corresponding adjustments immediately. Order the reclaimers in the south, southwest, northwest, and north to withdraw immediately. South defense line, withdraw to Jiaojiao Cliff. Use the terrain to block the exotic beasts from breaking through. Southwest, withdraw to the northeast. We must occupy Canyon 233 faster than the beasts in the west to stop them. North defense line, withdraw to the Ice River. Use the Ice River to build a defense line. Northwest defense line, withdraw to the southeast defense line. Finally, form a joint command with Lin Yao in the southwest region and fight the Hell Beasts together. Yes. Also, send someone to invite Bai Di. He must come to support us as soon as possible. Yes. After Shen Xiaowu gave the order, he felt as if all his strength had been sucked away. He looked at the sand table map in a daze. Suddenly, he punched the west defense line in the sand table. Damn, that El Nino. 10 years of hard work, 10 years of hard work, all for nothing. 50,000 brothers, 50,000 brothers. The entire command center was filled with an oppressive atmosphere. Everyone felt as if there was a huge rock on their chest. This unforeseen event was a huge test for everyone. About half an hour later, report, the latest battle report from the West. What? There's a battle report? Yuan Shiyu didn't die? Shen Xiaowu's first reaction wasn't to find out what was in the battle report, but that Yuan Shiyu could still send out a battle report at this time. He was actually still alive? Shen Xiaowu knew very well that Yuan Shiyu's command center was placed at the front line. The command center was the first to bear the brunt of the 500,000 exotic beasts attacking the defense line. It had already been half an hour. The western region should be in a mess by now, right? Read? Shen Xiaowu, who had regained his senses, hurriedly shouted, "Esteemed Commander-in-Chief, Your Holiness Qinghu, after Your Holiness Earthwalker and Lord Wang Lan rushed to the western front line, the chaotic fog surged, and the beast tide was ready to strike. The Earthwalker first created a 10-kilometer-long mountain range outside the defensive line to reverse the weakness of the western defensive line. The moment the fortifications were completed, the strange beasts in the chaotic fog swarmed out in full force. 10,000 flying strange beasts were the vanguard, followed by 500,000 strange beasts charging at the front line. Sir Wang Lan relied on his flying ability to wrestle with 10,000 flying exotic beasts alone, slaying all of them within 10 minutes. At this moment, the exotic beast attacks were still unstoppable. They had advanced nearly 3 kilometers, and half of the mountain range's defensive line had fallen. Exotic beasts were everywhere, and their brothers had suffered more than 1,000 casualties. At this time, after Sir Wang Lan dealt with the flying exotic beasts in the sky, he used his Takashi Hoshi skill to suppress the exotic beasts in the area, killing more than 10,000 exotic beasts in just a few minutes. After that, he used 3 S-grade Takashi Hoshi skills. First, he used lava to flow through a 2-kilometer-long tunnel, forming a river of lava in the valley. Then he used the ice Takashi Hoshi skill to freeze the lava in place, and finally used the explosive Takashi Hoshi skill to blow up the exotic beasts within 2 kilometers. In this battle, more than 50,000 exotic beasts were killed. After that, Sir Wang Lan and His Holiness Earthwalker worked together. His Holiness Earthwalker controlled the terrain, while Sir Wang Lan provided firepower. After an hour and 10 minutes, they successfully drove the exotic beasts out of the mountain range, killing more than 300,000 exotic beasts. At this point, all the people in the command center stared at the herald who was reading. They didn't know what to think anymore. However, the contents of the report were far from over. The beast tide was wiped out. Then, the chaotic fog surged, and 3 titled exotic beasts charged out, instantly causing serious damage to the defensive line. Sir Wang Lan took to the sky like an eagle, fighting a golden condor alone and burning it to death with mystical flames. Then, with Earthwalker's help, he faced the remaining 2 exotic beasts. The 8th beast was killed on the spot. The green lion was actually intimidated by Wang Lan's combat strength and turned to flee. Before it could enter the fog, it was killed by a streak of white light. The white light instantly split the 10 kilometers long defensive line into 2, and with this strike, another 2,000 brothers were killed without leaving behind any corpses. This is the Deep Abyss beast, the Azure Griffin. The Griffin is very powerful. It destroyed the 10-kilometer-long defensive line with a single attack, and His Holiness Earthwalker was heavily injured. His Holiness Earthwalker wanted Wang Lan to take us in retreat, but Sir Wang Lan refused. Did that mean that Wang Lan and Xiao Shan had really joined forces to block the attack of 500,000 beast tide, and even killed them all? Did that mean that Wang Lan had really beaten back the abyssal beasts? What kind of incomparable, miraculous skill was this? What kind of world-shaking feat was this? When this news came out, let alone the headquarters, even the entire Cloud Sea wasteland space was in an uproar. Wanglan's radiance made everyone else dim and become a foil. The news quickly spread out of the wasteland space, and then quickly spread throughout the country like a virus. The political circle, the military, and the alternate space were all shocked by the news. Yu Riyun, who was carrying out a mission somewhere far away, was first stunned when she heard this news, and then a bitter smile appeared on her face. As expected of you, I've been completely left behind by you. After number one heard this news, he was immediately in high spirits. He picked up his calligraphy and started writing. A line of vigorous and powerful words were written naturally, without any trace of carving. A heroic young man, a young hero. The country's treasure, the country's great fortune. Just as the entire country was in an uproar over Wanglan's feat, Wanglan drove a truck of soul orbs to the headquarters to show off in front of Jiang Xinyu. Jiang Xinyu was transferred to the headquarters. For the first 2 days, she really thought that it was a normal job transfer. Until 2 days later, when Wanglan was fighting fiercely at the front lines, Jiang Xinyu found that the soldiers at the headquarters were unusually busy. After asking, she found out that El Nino had appeared and the Cloud Sea wasteland space was going to experience a huge storm. At this moment, Jiang Xinyu understood everything. She understood why she was transferred back from the front lines and why there were no new missions for the past 2 days. If Wanglan wasn't behind all this, she wouldn't believe it even if she was beaten to death. However, Wanglan kept her in the dark. Everyone in the Cloud Sea wasteland space knew about it, but she didn't. It wasn't that Jiang Xinyu couldn't accept being protected by Wanglan, but she couldn't accept being protected by Wanglan without knowing anything. Therefore, the Ice Queen was very angry. She couldn't wait to go to the front lines immediately to find Wanglan and give him a good kick. However, at this moment, the battle report of Wanglan killing 500,000 exotic beasts and defeating the abyssal beast came. When Jiang Xinyu first heard this news, she wasn't shocked, worried, or scared. What came to her mind was that day at the ice cliff when she stood under the gate of the underworld and watched Wanglan fight against 100,000 beasts and 2 beasts at the titled rank on her own. It wasn't that Wanglan wanted to hide it from her, but Jiang Xinyu was too weak. In that situation, she couldn't help at all. Unless Wanglan took the initiative to cut off the healing. Under the halo state, even if the target was killed, they could be reborn in the halo. The method of rebirth was similar to the method of regenerating clones, but the only drawback was that the clones could only be reborn in the halo. In other words, if the fetal pearl could not be retrieved immediately, the target that had turned into a fetal pearl would be attacked a second time. If the fetal pearl was destroyed, Wanglan would have no other way. Sure enough, healing others was just a supplementary ability. Although the limitations were great and the risks were very high, there was no doubt that this ability was becoming more and more terrifying. The other change was that Wanglan's self-healing ability was strengthened. After his self-healing ability had advanced to the diamond level, even if his head was chopped off, he could heal himself without the help of a clone. However, the self-healing method was a little disgusting. Instead of growing a head from a body, he would grow a body from the head. At the same time, Wanglan had a brand new skill, the amputation clone technique. When he chopped off his own torso, the chopped off torso would automatically grow a body without consciousness. This body would be connected to Wanglan's brain, as if he had an additional body that could be remotely controlled. The strength and toughness of the body were comparable to that of the original body, but the astral power had to be provided by Wanglan's original body. Moreover, this body could be controlled remotely, but it could not be controlled across space. Strictly speaking, the self-cloning body could be considered a variant application of the clone rebirth. This clone ability was very powerful, and it was similar to Wang Mingling's method of using his soul to seize the target's body and control it. However, the difference was that Wang Mingling's method could not unleash its full strength, and a puppet needed to kill a person. However, Wang Lan's clone was himself, so there was no conflict at all, and its strength could be unleashed perfectly. The only thing that troubled Wang Lan was that he had to King amputate his own limbs. Although he could regrow them after a few seconds of self-healing, chopping off an arm or a leg required a lot of courage, right? Moreover, he could not create too many clones, because each clone needed to be controlled by Wang Lan. This was not only a problem of multitasking, but also a problem of only 50% of his strength because of the distraction. In Wang Lan's opinion, a clone with 100% combat power was much stronger than two clones with 50% combat power. Wang Lan was quite satisfied with the result of the upgrade of the life aura. He then turned his attention to the other Takashi Hoshi technique. He had already seen the blue diamond strength of the bright Yang sword technique, so he was not in a hurry.